And we're ready. Make a motion to seal the minutes of the non-public session as they pertain to public safety permanently, as they pertain to issues that might affect the reputation of townspeople permanently, and as they might pertain... Pardon?
Personnel.
Yeah, I'm going there.
Okay.
As they might pertain to personnel permanently.
What about the sale of the
Sale of the...
property?
And as they might pertain to the sale of town property until such time as the property has
resolved.
been disposed of.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Did you get all that, Catherine? All right.
You can make it up as you go along, Catherine. You know how to
Right.
put it better than me.
Chief's report.
He's downsizing.
Yes.
How are you?
Well, no, it's just,
Yeah, I thought that was too good to be true.
there's enough, I think, hopefully. So calls to date,
She meant in offices, you're downsizing.
Oh.
You didn't get that.
Yeah, you're downsizing equipment, getting rid of...
I was wondering.
I'm a little slow on the,
All right.
That damn vacation.
yes, yes.
Happy belated birthday.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Is that your name?
Yep,
Just a number, hopefully.
yep.
They all are.
They all are.
Yup. Yeah, sure.
Let the chief give his report.
Yeah, okay.
It was a good one, though, relaxing last
Well,
week.
good.
I really did try to, not think about work.
hear him
Honestly,
at all.
tried the whole week. Coffee on the beach.
Chief, can you speak up or move the thing? We
Oh,
can't.
yeah.
He doesn't want to
Talking
right now
about
because he's
coffee on
talking...
the beach.
You really want to hear about his vacation?
Oh, we're on camera.
Oh,
That's all right.
that's why he was whispering.
Yeah. It was a great vacation.
Yeah, it was a great vacation.
Status of the Tilton PD.
All right.
So,
Sorry.
back to business. So calls the date 8335, as of today internally,
Wait a minute.
8,335.
Since January?
Yep. That's
Ow.
calls for service, so that's entered into our internal system.
Right, so how does that compare with previous years?
I would say probably up a little bit right now. It's, like I said, it's been steady.
She wants you to downsize.
Is calls for service like you got a tail light out, or?
It could be a
Anything.
car, it could be a car stop.
So
it could
that's
be a
any
shoplifter, it could be a
interaction with, yes, okay,
It
okay,
could be following the fire department.
okay.
Training, the beginning of the week, we had our chiefs conference. This year's training was on disparate minority contact for executive leaders. The instructor is part of a committee around the state that looks at heading off issues that might result in profiling, disparate minority contacts in inner cities, and making sure that agencies are aware, obviously, that around the country it has happened, and they don't want to see it here in New Hampshire. So there's a committee, the chief of Nashua and Manchester are part of that committee, both of them being fairly large cities. And it just takes a look at how we're doing, how's New Hampshire graded. And according to the instructor who teaches this stuff around the country, said New Hampshire's actually sitting very well. We don't have any issues like that, but we want to make sure we never do. So it was a really good training. He did an outstanding job. Yesterday, we had the Emergency Management Preparedness Conference down in Manchester. There was a lot of town administrators there. There was obviously emergency managers. That's one of my hats for Tilton. And so I did a class in the morning, and then I went to some in the afternoon with, the class I went to in the afternoon was on law enforcement's interaction with schools and preparedness for active shooter. One thing we started to do when I came was meet with the high school monthly. You've been to some of those meetings. Well, the class I went to yesterday was recommending you do that. So I was already about 7 years ahead and said, yeah, we're already doing that. We meet the first. So that's what it was all about. And they said, having police, fire, school IT, principals get together, talk about school safety and preparedness, so we were able to brag a little that we're already doing it.
Were there any fire department representatives at this meeting from our district?
I didn't see anyone, but there were 950 people there.
So you might not have noticed one.
Might not have noticed
Yeah,
one.
okay.
One of the issues I had when I inspected the middle school was their fire exit routes, which were very convoluted, no consistency. I was very shocked. Some of the rooms didn't even have anything posted. They were going to have the fire department in there to correct that, and I'm wondering if, they're looking at it from a fire standpoint, and the way that school is designed, those classrooms can exit through each classroom and then out to the outside from the classrooms.
They can.
They don't have to go into the main hallway where you may have a shooter. So my question to you is, when you meet with them next, would you please review that escape route to see if they have considered that possibility? Because the fire very certainly could have been consistent and had them all enter into that hallway and then out to the outside. You see what I'm saying? Which would be fine in a fire situation.
For an active shooter, they're actually giving teachers now the option. It's kind of a new approach to this, to let teachers decide if they want to self-evacuate their classes. And that's something totally new and opposite of the years of lockdown drills.
Is that a district policy now?
Nope, no, it's not a policy, but it's starting to trickle out through trainings. And I
In
know
light
that-
of this past
talked about
week
it
or
yesterday.
10 days, and the whack jobs apparently who crave attention in some sick manner, they're shooting people in schools. Has that been, have you discussed that with anybody? Will you be discussing it tomorrow? Because it becomes, I hate to say, statistically more and more likely.
Right.
God forbid it should ever happen in one of our schools, but are we considering the ramifications of the latest events that have unfolded?
We do, actually, so we do have these monthly safety meetings, and we have one tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, and that's been, as of, before it was, we talked about illegal drugs, we talked about kind of everything. Lately, our focus is just that. And yesterday, the preparedness conference, they had 950 people there. Perry Plummer, the director of New Hampshire Homeland Security and Office of Emergency Management, spoke about it. The governor was there. And that's the focus of the state right now, is schools and school safety. And I would say, there was a lot of breakout sessions yesterday. I would say the majority of them probably somewhere focused around that. The class I taught yesterday morning was about that.
There was the kid in Oregon that there were like 2 dead and 1 wounded or whatever. When they shut down the school, they found another kid with a gun who was apparently unrelated to the first one. It just seems like a horrendous, I don't get it,
I
but
mean, we do take it serious. I know there's been some schools in the Lakes region recently that, you know,
Laconia.
yeah, they got some intel that, and nothing's dismissed anymore. You know,
You
Well,
can't.
haven't we also, because of all the incidences, maybe gotten a little phobic? So what may have been not so phobic 10 years ago, now all of a sudden is a huge issue, like the child that brought the inactive hand grenade to school for show and tell. And they thought, oh my gosh, he's got a life, and it really wasn't.
Or points his finger and gets
Simulator.
suspended.
I know.
You
I mean,
go
So,
too
you see what I'm
much.
saying? We've gotten, unfortunately, because of what is happening, we've gotten very phobic over it.
I mean,
But I am concerned about the exit routes in the school as it pertains to this type of situation. The middle school, certainly, if there was a situation, the police could evacuate all those classrooms from the outside, if that is in place. The high school and the other 2 schools in Northfield and Samerton weren't designed that way.
right.
So if you could look at the middle school with those eyes
See,
and see what they have done to set it up for evacuation, I'd appreciate your input on that.
yeah, I'll
Because
bring it
I'm going to
up.
have to rule on that soon.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something I can talk to them about. They'll be there, so.
You know, examine that evacuation route they set up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We try not to leave them little options. We not to say, you will always exit this way, you know, because.
Because you can't always
You
exit
can't,
that way.
yeah. So we're trying to be more flexible. That's, I mean, it goes back to even Columbine, kids were self-evacuating through windows. That's gonna happen, it's human nature.
Mm-hmm.
And if they,
That's me.
yeah, I mean, exactly.
through the window.
I'm out
So
the
you don't
window,
want to,
yeah.
you don't want to necessarily discourage it, and I always cautioned in training to discourage it, because it could save their life.
The principal they have over there, I have to say, is really, was completely on board with it. He is very proactive. They'll do well if they keep this person.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
He's a good fellow.
He went to a lot of training in Mass on it, so we connect well, we
Yeah, he's a smart man,
proactive.
very smart man.
But yeah, I will.
Thank you.
LGC's having a supervisor liability class on the 23rd. Kevin was at our place today and he gave that to us. So I'm going to try and get a couple people to that, because it's free, it's down in Concord. And that was something new. I just learned about it today. Brian's in training. This is his second week of DEA training. He'll come back certified Friday. And
Certified as what?
he'll have his basic drug investigation school certification, so which is important for testifying, putting cases together. You can show someone how to do a case, but until they have that piece of paper that says they've been to school. Talk to both the cap and the supervisors, and no issues mechanically with the fleet this week or engine lights. I got a call into VidTech down in Texas to see when they're shipping that replacement camera for the 3A. The 6A was stripped. All the equipment was pulled out that we're going to need for the new car. New car is in, so
Nice.
yeah, we'll be getting copies of paperwork down and starting to get that ready.
Are we planning to put paint on that?
Yeah.
Decals and everything
Those
else?
stickers
What's
that
the
go on?
cost of painting the
Yeah,
car?
decals, it's about $700 to letter the whole thing.
It's to be utilized as a frontline
Frontline car. yeah.
patrol?
Yeah, I want it marked. There's advantages to unmarked, but there's also advantages to marked.
Yep.
Besides that visibility, going through intersections, all of that stuff.
I was just thinking about the painting. If it didn't say Tilton on it, didn't necessarily mean it wasn't a Tilton police car, you know, $700 is $700. But no, you're right.
Yeah, so, but we haven't begun that yet. There is, just so you know too, we've been getting, I don't know if anyone's radio savvy, but we've been getting some skip from, we found out was Connecticut. It's like bleed over from other states.
Ah,
And,
what?
skip, they call it. It's radio bleed over. And so,
From another state?
from another, yeah, East Lyme, Connecticut. And we had to play
Those are
detective.
powerful radios.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're not just.
The Aurora Borealis with us?
Yeah,
That's
they're not
usually
just
when it happens.
jumping in on us. They're hitting Manchester Fire in Mass. They're hitting the department down the Cape, another one. About 3 or 4 weeks ago, they put in a new microwave system. And obviously, they got carried away. And so
Need to
that's,
dial it down,
they
maybe.
need to dial. So I've been in touch with the fire chief down there in East Lyme, Connecticut. He put me in touch with their radio guy, a guy named Brooks. Basically, they have to reprogram 300 radios and get off our frequency. We had it first, and that's how it works. And so and the Manchester, Mass. Fire chief isn't happy. So it's one of those things that...
Must be getting worse down there.
Oh, yeah, and then there's a department on Long Island that's getting pounded. But that's just one of the things we're working on with the radios. There is a grant to reprogram the radios, and we can make our radios so they don't pick up that analog chatter from Connecticut. Right now, they're set in mixed mode, so if I switch my portable to analog, Terry will still hear me, but we primarily operate on digital. But Belknap has our frequency, and they have it in digital mode only, so they're not picking up any of the skip. I could do it too, but it's kind of a last resort because I like to have that option. If someone happens to be on analog by accident and they put out a help call, that Terry will hear it. So I talked to Belknap about it, and I'm kind of saving it as a last resort, even though the programming would be free right now because it's grant paid. So that's just something going on. The guys down in East Lyme have been very apologetic, and
Yeah, well,
I think at first they were like, "Are you reprogramming or us?" And I said, "We just did all our radios, not only ours, but everyone in the county is on our
It
frequency."
costs them money to reprogram, right?
But they got the frequency the most recently, so they
Lyme's
have
a
to
pretty good
change.
community, they can afford it.
They could afford to buy us all new radios.
They're right on the water down there in Connecticut, so it's
Would
just
solve it.
shooting right over the ocean and hitting everyone. They probably didn't
Yeah.
need the system they bought, but I gotta say, they've been polite and cooperative, and I've been patient with them, but...
Tell them we'll swap out systems.
I know, no kidding. But they're a fire department down there, so we'll hear like engine 91 go to this call, and all of a sudden it just comes in like right through our repeater.
It's pretty clear and straight through.
Yeah, it happens on certain days. Sometimes overcast days it's more prevalent than others.
Yeah, because it will carry.
Yeah, but on a clear day you might have nothing. But I have a good rapport with them so far, and I'm trying to be patient. I know it takes time to reprogram. They probably had to relicense before they could reprogram, and so they're trying to speed it up, and they're going to have to switch their PL code to get off our frequency. So there's so many departments. There's actually 5 other agencies in New England that have our frequency. That's how jammed the radio waves are, and that's like that for everybody. We have some info coming back. I got a voicemail from Paul at Home Beautiful, and he's gonna drop off a quote to me for rubber flooring. Remember, we brought that up a couple
Oh,
of
yes.
days ago. And then the cap, he found a product that's green called marmoleum. It's about $3 to $4 a square foot versus 99 cents a square foot, so it's more. We knew it would be. And so I can have Paul quote that, but I'm gonna see where he's supposed to drop off tomorrow, I think, that rubber quote for the floor in the patrol room, but I would like to do carpet where Lisa's sitting. I don't know if rubber in there. I think it would be great for the patrol room, but, you know, that's a high traffic area, people coming in with muddy boots, but Lisa's area, I'd rather do VCT or
But
something.
Isn't Lisa's a high traffic because in front of her desk and going downstairs, isn't that
Yeah.
high traffic?
So I'll see where the marmoleum is 3 to 4, I'll see where this rubber stuff comes in, so I'm not ready to totally.
Yeah, because that's, unless you just did the back, and that would really not serve its purpose for carpet.
I have a feeling the rubber might come in higher than this, but, I know that,
How much did you budget for?
got about, so it would be over, and so that's something when we get to that bridge, we'll have to take a look at and see
For the rubber?
what we can do. Yeah, I mean, the marmoleum may be the option, might be the cheapest option,
That's more eco-friendly?
eco-friendly. Building, all's quiet on building. The only thing I have to reach out to highways, we have a floodlight bulb that faces the parking lot out. Got to call highway tomorrow and see if they can help us change that. It's up by the satellite dish. I believe new cleaners, Lisa said, start tomorrow.
Yep.
We got to do criminal checks in the morning. We can't run them until we get them signed waivers. So I got to have them sign waivers. Yeah, they have to sign waivers. I said to Terry, maybe we could have some in a folder, so like if they came to you, they could sign them anywhere, and then just drop them off to us. So once we have a signed waiver, we can run their criminal.
Tomorrow?
Tomorrow morning, first thing, we'll have to,
Here tomorrow morning.
yeah, I know, we're gonna have to do it right away, first thing in the morning.
You know what kind of light that is? Is that like a sodium vapor or something like that? My thoughts were, is if it's an expensive bulb, it might be a good time to change the fixture to something more energy efficient, you know, maybe LED, something that,
Positively.
it gives you all the light, but
Over the life of the
Wear
fixture
out.
and the bulb, you'll save
Electricity.
money, you'll save energy, it'll last longer, you won't have to replace it as often. So if it's like $100 versus $50, by spending 100, you save 150 over the life of the fixture.
Yeah, I'll take a look at that. I know we just added them when we did the makeover downstairs, so they're not that old, those lights. Remember, we did downstairs. So
I do.
only a couple years old, so, and I told the electrician to try to use energy-efficient stuff when we did them. So it might be a matter of, maybe we can put an LED bulb in there.
or the LED, yeah, I'm not sure, but I know some of those sodium vapor bulbs, some of those things are efficient, but they're like $70 a bulb. And
I know the old ones that we have pointed the signs, those are the original bulbs, those are all, you know, those are the only ones left, I think,
won't be able to
outside.
buy
that
those
we
bulbs
change.
anymore, yeah.
Staff would be non-public. Events, obviously Bike Week is coming up next week.
That's tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Yeah, it runs through next weekend. So
Excellent,
be a lot of people in town.
You'll be on vacation then, won't you, Al?
excellent.
Excellent.
Hill climbs Wednesday.
I have
Excellent.
Wednesday in Canaan.
Where is it?
Canaan,
Canaan.
just
Oh,
past
gun
5
stop.
o'clock.
I've never been to one.
Really?
No.
We're doing a CAC fundraiser on the 26th.
A what fundraiser?
CAC Children's Advocacy Center. So they do the interviews of child victims, and they're trained to do it specially, and they act as their advocate throughout the process. We kind of make sure that, you know, because sometimes the parents
I thought
might be
it
the
was Casa.
suspects.
And that would be what, Wednesday evening at Tilton Diner?
Yes, it would.
Well, you should at least get it out there, because
Is it
I'm your
this
burger
Wednesday?
flipper.
No. Yeah, I know. And I had a meeting there today, and he asked me if you were gonna.
The Children's
And I
Advocacy
said,
Group?
I don't know, I'll reach out to him.
Oh, no, I was in there Old Home Day, and he said, "You are going to flip burgers for us, aren't you?"
One's got him on.
Yeah, I am. You betcha.
Yeah, so, no, that's, so it's, today's the 12th, so the 26th.
Yeah, it's a Wednesday evening at Tilton Diner.
Yeah, it'll be kind of like the one
What
I
time?
did before.
I believe it starts at 6, I want to say, and that's also cruise night, so there'll be all sorts of vintage cars and bikes and that sort of thing. Fresh squeezed lemonade, they really squeeze it lemon by lemon.
How much is the ticket? Do you know?
$10.
$10.
Yeah.
It's not unlike the thing it's exactly like the thing we did when we had the
Norm.
benefit for Norm.
Same, yeah, we'll have a DJ outside and
Yep,
the whole deal. and,
Yep.
so
should be
I'll
big fun.
I'll be doing another one on August 6th, which is a Wednesday night for the senior center.
He already
Yay!
hooked me up. I'm flipping burgers for that one, too.
Yeah, and so we'll have 2 of them this summer. They're all booked, they're all planned, it's approved by the Common Man, Tilton Diner. The car clubs are on board, everyone's a go.
Any football ones in the advertising?
Rotary's
So tell 'em
jumping in to
about
help
August
both.
6th.
94.1 will be at both. Freddie Crusoe loves that.
Yep,
They're
me
fun.
too. It's
They're
big
nights,
fun.
Walking around, check out the
It would-
cars.
Well, I didn't get to do that. I was flipping burgers and
You were the
dogs, but
busiest,
it's big fun. If you haven't done it, by all means, come on down.
Oh, yeah.
Great
Yeah.
time for great
Bristol Car Club.
people.
Yeah.
Told me they would come down.
Outstanding.
That doubles the numbers.
Yep.
because they were recently, we had a deal at Walmart, it was a child safety day, and the Bristol Car Club brought a couple cars down, the woman and her husband that organized it, and they said, would you guys come down for this? And they said, absolutely, we were at the last one.
As I recall from the one I did down there with Norman, or for Norman, there was an issue about traffic. It's a choke point there, there's no light getting in and out from the diner, and I was wondering if one of your officers might, or what are they, the police cadets,
Maybe there to help
explorers,
people
to
get in.
help with directing the traffic. It would have to be somebody who was traffic certified,
Right.
because that could be just a horrible situation, but once you get in, how do you get out,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, I think at the end of the night, I think we let a bunch out at once.
Oh, I'm just saying.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Something to think,
Yep, yep.
because we had cars, we filled the whole grass.
We filled everywhere. There were hundreds of people there that night. It was absolutely wonderful.
The cars for the car show?
And we had
Benefit for
the
Norm.
All right.
a benefit for Norm, $10 a ticket, all you could eat, drink. There were hundreds of people. It was wonderful. The diner put up the food and the space, and it was great.
And what's the date of that again?
26th
The 26th and then August 6th
August 6th.
and August 6th.
for the senior center.
Yep.
So I think both will do well.
Pray for son.
And then obviously, right after that, you have Old Home Day, that 28th.
That would be the 28th, and we're having a really nice parade that morning. And there'll be candy for the kiddies. They're down in the Pines, they're having whatever it is, what do they call that? The Old Home Day. It's vendors and burgers and dogs and a horse pull and music. And then
Fireworks at night.
Fireworks at night. Riverfront Park will have Ken Finnemore and his orchestra.
We're auctioning off a house.
And we are auctioning off a house that day.
They-
Are we really?
We are.
1 o'clock,
The same day,
bring the
Same
checkbook.
day.
16 Prospect Street.
16 Prospect Street. Come on
Pick up a
down.
house For how much? Like,
I don't think we've discussed that
2,000.
exactly.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's not your fault.
You've all had way too much sugar. Exactly.
Yeah, so the rest was just, I was going to give you an update on Nate.
Okay.
So,
That'd be non-pub.
yeah, and then,
I do have one question while you're flipping through your notes. There was some, Liberty Utilities had a thing going over on Prospect Street 10 days ago or so, and they didn't call in, they didn't get the detail, we went out. There was supposed to be a letter sent to them with a bill for 8 hours' worth of police detail, and I was just wondering what the results of that were.
right, Cap sent a letter. Did he send a copy down?
No.
No? All right.
Did we get the letter that went out to Liberty?
No, we did not.
Liberty Utilities for details?
From Ryan. No, no. we-
Okay.
All right, Cap sent a letter. I read it. It looked
Okay,
good.
okay.
It said from the Tilton Police Department and the Board of Selectmen.
Tell them to send a copy to Joyce or Catherine.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, that was my question.
On your training list, the only thing postponed is the RAD instructor. They had 7 entries. You need 10 to hold the class, so that's postponed until we get more students.
What is it?
RAD, rape, aggression, defense training. Jeremiah and Noel was slotted for that, but these companies, if you don't get 10 or more, they put it on hold.
It's not worth their time.
Not worth
No,
the
no.
time, so that's
Yeah.
the only change to that training schedule.
That'll be coming up
that
again,
you
though.
have. And then, of course, that supervisor one on the 23rd. And we got quotes on upfitting the car. The cheapest one right now so far is OME to do all the lights, the radio, the cage, the console, all that stuff. With OME is about 53.
How much of that equipment do we have on hand?
$5,300?
How much of that equipment
How
do
much
we...
should we set aside for that?
I don't know.
In years past, we've spent anywhere from $3,800 to $4,500. That was Ryan doing some of it and buying the lights himself on our...
Installing the radios, him and the other guy?
And Yeah, I hesitate to, I'd rather just...
No, I agree.
We got 3 quotes.
What were the other ones?
Adamson came in 53 as well, so they were neck and neck, and then MHQ was at 58. Those are 3 reputables. 50
We've used
OME.
OME before,
Yeah. Adamson's down in Mass, the only downside of that is
getting it down
getting
there.
it down there. They're in Haverhill, Mass.
Oh, I'll take it down.
That's not far.
I'll take it down. I'll drive it.
Take it down, I'll pick it up.
That's semi-far.
I'll take it down, I'll visit with my aunt while they're working on it, and I'll drive it back.
Yeah, there we go.
I
So
know.
what did we budget for that?
Well,
I know.
we had 15 in the budget, and then we had about 17 in the revolving, and so,
In the
yeah.
detail fund?
Yeah, and the car was 24.6, so it leaves you
About 8.
about 8 total.
And that's not counting the paint job, right?
Those-
That's another 7?
Yeah. So, I mean, and that's,
That's about 6,000 to outfit it.
we usually come in, if you look at the PDs around us, they usually spend anywhere from 35 to 40 when, you know, the car's totally done and ready for the road. And we usually come in anywhere from 3 to 5,000 less than most of the PDs around. We try to be creative. The only thing we're recycling the radio, we're recycling the light bar. What we do with the older light bars is we change the lenses out and put new clear lenses because they start to get frosted. And so if I wasn't recycling the light bar, then would probably be up another 2,500 to 3,000 over that.
The LEDs in the front and the rear windows and stuff, we have all those, or is that a new equipment?
No, we're recycling the equipment out of the 6A, so it didn't have all
Yeah,
that.
okay.
So that was all the old strobe technology. And these upfitters, they won't use your old wiring. 'Cause once they do it, they own it, so
Yep.
they want to put their own.
Yeah.
There's a little over 30,000
Yeah,
for everything for that vehicle.
right. Yeah. Some of my counterparts budget anywhere from 35, 38, I've heard as much as 40 to do their cars soup to nuts, but we've never hit that mark. Never. One year, we got pretty frugal. Ryan found a lot of deals online, but he had to spend a lot of time. We had to do it on the credit card piecemeal, and it's
Now it's
really-
warranted. If we go to them, it's warranted, we don't have to
Everything.
worry about it.
Yeah.
But I'll
so-
make a motion, we go with OME for the outfitting of the new vehicle.
Second.
Under discussion, is there a number that we're setting
Again,
this
it's
at?
be-
In the total of,
The total, sure. The total is $5,317.25 for OME. It's part of the discussion.
How much is the car?
24.6, I believe.
That's not enough.
Yeah, there's like 32. Tim figured it out to be about 32 without any extra details.
But you don't have 32. You have 16,258 and 2 cents in the detail fund.
Is that as of what day?
That's as of May 31st. So
I've seen lots of details around town, so it's got to be higher than that now.
well, that's what it is. That's as of May 31st.
Yep.
So, there may be monies out there, but that's what's in there. That's what we have to go by.
Yep.
And we have equipment purchases, there's 14,620 left in that.
What equipment purchase?
Isn't that where the car is?
Yeah, the car.
379.97 was spent. So there's 14,620. And 16,258. $30,878 is what we've got.
We need another couple grand.
Say that number again, Catherine?
$30,878.05.
Okay,
That's what I've got.
and what's the mark we're trying to hit, 32 what?
No, the car cost 24,600, right?
Yep.
And we're looking at 53,17.
So we're just barely,
So we're at 29,500,
Okay, and $700 to paint it.
and then 700 to paint.
53.17.
And I hate to be the fly in the ointment here, but at $700, don't we need to go out for a bid?
16.
The only problem with that is, when we originally come up with that paint scheme, we did go out to bid,
That
but
brings us
once
over.
Kelly creates it.
Right.
If you go to another, they each company, like.
But not by
the
much.
graphic shop, Municipal Graphic and Mass, and Kelly all quoted the
Come in with
original
the
paint scheme.
details in June.
Right.
So after the original quote, we're trapped?
You're
If
trapped
she
with that
decided to
design.
go $900 all of a sudden?
No, you
then-
want to increase it to go with exactly that design, they're going to have to do a template.
Yeah,
The other people are going to be charged doing a template, that's the only problem.
right.
We can go
Yeah.
to another company, but it'll be the template.
And I didn't realize that we were trapped for life by that.
We're not trapped for life.
You're
We
not-
go out-
Well, no, we can spend extra money.
You may find a company that would throw in the template just to get our business.
Yeah, she's
Right.
never gone up since we did it, since.
And she's right down the street. I do like to keep doing money, but we have this selectmen's policy, and I'm one of those book guys. You're a police officer, you're a book guy.
She's also thrown in a few of the...
I know she has.
What we do,
I
like,
know
if
she
it's-
has.
if it's a unique paint scheme that she came up with and is,
No?
I guess,
No, to-
Get
like the
stuffy
graphic
in here.
shop, theirs are trademark design, so Kelly can't copy the
No,
graphic shop.
no, she has to
Nor
buy
can
the
they-
trademark.
Nor can they copy hers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it becomes like a sole source
Where was
item.
this?
So
Right.
that's how we've always done it.
don't know if anybody else
We
will.
quoted all three, the original, when we did it that time,
Yeah.
which is you, when you were on the board.
So it looks like we're, what, about 1,000, you said? 900?
About 500.
About $500.
So
And you-
probably,
A bunch of details this
as
week.
Pat would say, the money for details hasn't come in yet.
Haven't
It's
come in yet,
probably
right.
out there.
June is
No,
high.
I know there's a bunch of them, because I keep going by them. They keep stopping me. I say, hey, I'm a selectman, I need to get through, but it doesn't work.
Order all this stuff and it won't be in for a month.
Yep.
So, and then they have to do it, which will be another 2 weeks, so you're looking at 6 weeks
This
before.
Liberty owes us money, right?
And Liberty does owe us money, apparently. There's a bill out there, anyway.
So this bill would probably be till August.
Ospey Mountain.
Yeah.
So by then,
I know,
This is the AC.
I know.
All right, all those in favor of the motion for Ossipee Mountain for $5,317?
Aye.
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 Catherine, that was unanimous?
and then the only, oh, I do have one more thing. So, I'm sorry.
Bring it.
This guy just came in my office this afternoon. His name's Vic Rogers. He's the Military Outreach Director for the state. And I didn't know, but Sonny put me in for a nomination to get the Patriot Employer Award, which I guess is a big deal. Like they picked one police department in the state to get this thing, and we got awarded it. So they want to have the General Steve Curry and some other VIPs from New Hampshire military come and present this award. They'd like to do it at like a selectmen's meeting
Very nice.
and have Sonny come here and
Absolutely outstanding.
so.
When do we get Sonny back?
He's back.
Well, he is back. He's
Yeah.
done.
He's like back for good?
Yeah, back for good.
For real?
Very, hope.
Outstanding.
So
Well,
I
just
told,
first 2 weeks every night.
Yeah.
I told Vic that I would check with the board and find out when we could get him on the agenda.
What week?
We could start from next Thursday and go forward, so if you want to go after Buckwheat.
Well, that brings up a little tidbit for next week, because we were going to bring up to the board, unbeknownst to most of the board, whether or not to take next week off, because there are 2 members of our board that are motorcycle enthusiasts, and that it is Bike Week. So there'll only be 3 of us next week.
That's a quorum.
I know it's a quorum, but do you,
If you're gonna have a general come here and present an award like that, I would like to be here, but I gotta tell
We'll
you,
do that next year.
I
We
gotta
were
tell
just
you.
talking about not having a meeting. No, we wouldn't do
well,
that.
we're talking about not having a meeting.
So like I said, could it be the 26th? He said, yeah.
I really want to be here. I'm thrilled for you and for Sunny and for us.
On this one?
Yeah.
The general's coming on.
Is that something that we could do on the 26th, so it's 2
Can-
weeks from now?
Can we have the,
Tell her I wasn't going to be here. She just assumed.
you do it every year.
And rightly so. I don't think I've ever made a bike week meeting.
I know you haven't,
No.
so that wasn't an assumption, it's a track record.
Yeah, it is. It is. That's what I do on bike week.
I'm on vacation from work that week, or that tail end of that week.
The 26th?
Yeah.
Can you come in early?
I can come in early.
Can we have
at all.
We could do it early.
the 20?
No!
The 26th, you're back.
Oh, the
on bike week.
26th. Okay.
Oh, no, no,
All right. Yeah, whatever. I'll be
No,
here.
I won't be off that day. I'm talking about the bike week.
And I should be
won't
back
be here.
together again by then.
27th, there's no
So we could come in at 3 o'clock and do business.
hat only.
He's not off on the 26th.
No, instead of not having a meeting next week, have a short meeting so we could at least take care of business.
Signing stuff and what have you, sure.
Oh, we're taking care of,
I won't
we're
be
talking
here,
about
so-
next week.
No.
Yeah, I can come in.
All right, so next week, instead of having it at 4
Oh, and I
o'clock,
have
can
very
we have it in
important
early
business to
afternoon,
attend.
and then we can just go home?
Yeah.
And that way Catherine, yeah, okay. So
I'll be around all
So
day.
that way on the 26th, we're not here until 11 o'clock at night?
we'll just come in and sign payroll and manifests and things like that, and
That's on the 19th?
on the 19th, we'll come in the afternoon.
What
What time?
I'm here, so,
I'm around all day.
1 o'clock?
1 o'clock?
and anything that comes up that's urgent,
All right, and then
no speakers.
the following week is the general,
What time would that be?
before 1. I mean, we don't want to have any anti-military attire.
Have I ever worn anti-military attire?
I'm gonna
No.
wear my hemp.
Anti-authority attire, maybe, but not anti-military.
At what time did you say?
For the 26th?
Yes, the 26th.
We haven't set any time.
Oh, okay.
We're trying to decide a time.
All right.
Okay?
Bought in Moscow.
Oh, did you say a general?
General's coming.
General Steve Curry.
Yeah, he's the top general.
I got the blue in my hand.
No, pink, go ahead, do pink.
Pierce my nose.
Pink and green, pierce your nose.
I'm wearing my tie-dye.
Don't forget to wear Al's gun.
Come on, I just broke him of that.
My 45 Summit.
Can we do a-
Freak him out.
NRA t-shirt or something.
I'm gonna borrow one of Joe's t-shirts.
Done,
I'm
we'll
going to wear
talk.
my new cat t-shirt
You could do the
that I got
hemp
from
one.
Dennis.
He's go.
Oh, I got a big one.
Okay, moving
All
on.
right, moving on.
my
How
normal
about,
t-shirt.
how about we meet at 4, and then if you have the ceremony at, we'll do the ceremony early and get it done. So 4:30 for the ceremony?
If
You will be
John's
at
not,
4:30?
Go off a little earlier.
okay, I want to make sure John's here.
Yep, I do.
So if it has to be 4:45 or whatever,
Yeah,
So let's do 5 o'clock for the ceremony.
4:45.
5 o'clock for the ceremony,
yeah, there you go.
and we'll get all the rest of the stuff done before that, and then we can,
And then it's party!
all right? And then we'll have some type of refreshments or something for,
That's what I was going to ask you.
wow, this is exciting.
Yeah, I didn't know that Sonny.
Good work. General at 5 PM.
He has a natural political instinct, doesn't he?
Somebody call Donna Rhodes. I'll call her tonight.
And give her a heads up.
You can call, we'll get her on Facebook.
You gonna call your best friend?
Yeah, I'll call my best friend too. Ask her if she wants to come down and take pictures.
Oh, outstanding. I
What's her
haven't
name
seen
there?
Gail.
Gail, that's right. I'll call her tomorrow.
For the-
Didn't know you guys were pals.
And Chief, before you leave, can you give Catherine and I all that information on who it is?
And the
Yep.
quotes and stuff?
Yeah, okay.
Everything.
Yeah.
All right, is that it? You almost forgot the most important thing. That's uplifting. And you were going to forget telling us that.
Save the best for last.
I know,
The whole Sunny thing.
the whole Sunny, the nomination and everything.
I know, because I had
He's
the...
still in vacation mode.
I said that earlier.
I had the guy's card to trip me to remember to tell you, and the card was like gleaming right in my face, and I was just closing the folder. I'm like, what is this card?
He's really, still in vacation
Hey,
mode.
don't blame him.
All right.
Coffee on the beach
Uh,
vision.
Gotta
On
like
the
that.
beach drinking hot coffee.
Yeah, well, hey, he's a cop. Probably eating donuts, too. So is there a non-public part of that little thing, or no?
Talking about.
Cops like donuts. There's nothing, I like donuts.
There's vitamins in it.
There are vitamins in donuts, as far as I know.
Joyce, you up?
I am. I'll be very brief,
I have no clue.
Good job, Joyce.
all fun stuff.
I think we'll put a muzzle on this guy down here for the rest of the meeting.
Let me break out.
This is
I can talk louder.
next Monday, starting at,
Can I get,
I want to say 4:30. I'll make sure I send you an email before the weekend
yes.
That's a
And then
starts, up at Greenside for the Old Home Day. Mm-hmm. And this is what we had presented for our Tilton nominees for Citizens of the Year, and which was subsequently awarded to them. So my question is who's going to be
I think so.
presenting it?
Our chair.
And
She speaks so eloquently.
And I would like to see some more things said about all the good things that Conservation Commission has done, what they have done with our Conservation Commission. So I didn't know if that was something that the board wanted to just add, because you know how they open it up to the floor to people to say things? So, then you'd have an opportunity to say something then.
Personally, I would rather keep the focus directly on Chuck and Kathy Mitchell. They have done so many wonderful things in so many arenas that you could go on and on, but
I think they already know.
Potential.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, they wouldn't be there.
Right.
To a non-public again?
I think one of the things is Chuck's been very
That's the only...
Conservation Commission, the amount of acreage that he's put into conservation in this town through, at no cost, just through mitigating through developers.
Definitely not.
We got the Lowe's piece.
Thank you.
Buffalo
Thank
Park.
you.
We've got Home Depot piece all through there.
Congratulations.
Kathy joined us in
Chuck was,
planting out here. She's joined our group.
Okay.
We got a master gardener.
Wish some master gardener would come to my house.
Me too.
Jeez, it's looking pretty bleak.
I gotta give you some hops.
Yes.
You did.
Did I give you hops? Did I do some up? Okay. What's more?
Do you need some candy, Chief? I think that's...
One thing I would add from the floor would be, is how, he's the only town moderator we know of that had 3 town meetings in 1 year.
that does what?
In 1 year. 3 town meetings in 1 year.
It might be the record in this town.
It is.
He was a good sport about it, too.
Well, kind of.
Almost.
Mostly.
I didn't think he was gonna come back.
He did a great job.
Oh, he did. I didn't say he did.
Great job keeping that all together and
He did
controlled.
an excellent job, but remember, he wasn't going to sign up the next year.
I know, we had to beg him. Promise not to ever do it again.
Right.
Now, I also have to RSVP for how many of you are going, so.
I'm going.
Oh, I'm there. You bet.
Catherine, are you going to be going?
No, thank you.
No? Chief, are you going?
What is this one?
The Old Home Day Citizen of the Year, they announce who the winners are?
When is that?
Monday night,
Monday night.
the 16th.
What is it, 5:30?
I'll double check.
Is it the 16th?
Yes, it is the 16th.
Yes, it's
I thought it
Monday
was the following.
Well, at the Old Home Day Committee meeting, we were going to be there at 5 and commence the actual ceremony at 5:30, I believe, is what they were talking about.
Okay, because we all have to be back here at 7 for a Conservation Commission meeting.
And that's been rescheduled officially, correct?
On the road, I'll be here.
It's always been 7 o'clock.
Well, I might be-
No, I thought that was 6:30, no? No?
Yeah.
7.
Okay, all right. Good, we're
And then
good.
I'll send a reminder email to the people from the Conservation Commission, because it'd be nice they could stop there first and come over here after
Yeah.
as well. All right, so do you feel comfortable with this? And then we can just add things when they're talking.
Do you know Brownie?
The guy in,
She's over in Alton. She should probably get invited. I'll see if I can put the invite out.
What a good idea.
She's been around for
Okay, just some business. Pat, I had put this in your, I know the board had approved the expenditure, but I just wanted to make sure that you were satisfied with the work, and then there was a little note on the bottom of that.
I got it right here, I was going to sign it. This is the work up at the roof, on the roof, and Dan has the invoice, and on the bottom it says this bill leaves $850 from the original quote to be used for the installation of the heat tape. I will bill for the remainder once it has been completed. Thank you.
So he came within the amount?
Yep, with the original amount that was billed.
And you get the heat tape.
Right.
So we can initial that. And then the other thing is with the Fisher Cats game with Franklin Savings Bank. The original date that Deb had given me was
July 7th.
July 7th, and she said, no, it's the 18th, it's next Wednesday. So I notified Pat, so I'm asking the people who have already expressed interest if you can do the 18th.
Yes,
All right, and you're for 2?
yes.
Okay. And Catherine, you said no, because you're going to be already... Oh,
I have a TAC meeting that day, so I'm not going to get, it's up in Tuftonboro. I don't know what time this starts, but I won't be back from Tuftonboro until probably 5:30.
I think it's a 7 o'clock game time, I think.
So what time does the bus go down there?
There never was a bus in my world.
We usually just all pack in cars and go down.
What time do you leave?
If it's a 7
I'm
o'clock
going to
start
take my
time,
nephew, and we'll probably go early in the
About 6
day
maybe.
and hang out.
So it would be close
6 and you
for
can-
me.
Right.
I definitely wouldn't be able to drive down there. After driving to Tuftonboro and back, I'd fall asleep.
Love to go, but I'm told that that's the last day I'll be working before he's off. My boss wants you to work late.
Okay.
Yeah,
you can't go on the 18th?
I can't.
2 for you?
Kim and I, yeah.
homemade Sundays and,
All right, so who in the highway is not interested?
Highway's not interested.
I haven't opened it up to anybody else. The original email came to Tim and myself, so Tim had put in for 5.
Well, I think it should be open up for town hall, because
Okay, I'll do
that's
that,
what it's
yeah.
meant for, is for
Oh, I know
for
that.
the employees.
Did we ask Johanna?
I think we should ask Dari
Yeah.
and Johanna.
Cindy can't do it. Catherine can't do it.
Cindy can't do it. She's a fixture at these things. I'm just saying.
But Dari may.
Joanna, no Catherine. Heather, she's gone in the past, right?
Yep. And then, so how many do we have so far?
We have 5, 6, 7, we have 9 so far. I'm sorry,
I mean, if
10.
no-
That's right.
10.
Nobody-
Wait a minute.
I mean, if there's other people if other people
Yeah, for my nephew, I'll do it.
wanted, I mean, 5 in one family would be,
Well,
there'd make some exceptions there.
so that's 3 more slots.
You have 3 more available?
How many do you have, Chief? How many spots do you have? Or are you sharing with us?
I think she was gonna do police and fire,
The same night?
Yeah, well, a different night. She talked to me about it, and she said, because the suite comfortably holds about 10 people.
Yeah. She said she had
Worried
12
if she tried to
tickets.
combine police, fire, and town hall, it would be too much.
Yep,
So she was breaking it up into 2 different nights.
okay.
And she threw those dates by me, I remember. So I was basically waiting to hear back from her. She was going to give you guys a date, and then she was going to give us and fire a date.
Okay.
And then I was going to put out an email.
Okay, good.
All right.
So-
Well, I'm sure between town hall, we can get 3 more
Yeah,
for our suite.
we could certainly backfill your numbers if need be with some people. I mean, I could jump in with you guys.
Well, the chief will jump in, we know that. He's for it.
With ours. Okay.
So if nobody comes, the chief and Tammy will come.
Okay. All right, so that's next Wednesday. All right, I'm going to call her, give her the names I have so far, and I'll check with the other employees. See, that's all the fun stuff. And this is a real quick one. I just found this to be very interesting and why I'm bringing it up. I participated in the NHMA 2014 legislative wrap-up, their webinar for an hour during lunch the other day. And we'll just go through this very quickly. I'll just point out the highlights that, oh, Catherine, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know we're pressed for time here.
Thank you, Jason.
You already are more familiar about what happened with the road, with the gas tax and all the money that's come in, so I'll just kind of skip over that. They spent most of their time talking about that. But if you go to page 8, one of the original bill was what municipalities and cities have always been anxious to do is to be able to set our own tax rates, because there's no reason that we can't. I mean, it's a pretty easy process. We just need certain lines from DRA and from the Department of Education. So what the legislature did, though, was they amended the bill to require state agencies to provide DRA with their revenue estimates by October 1st. I don't know if you recall that last fall, the Department of Education was required to do some additional calculations, and they weren't going to get their numbers to DRA until well after we needed to get our tax bills out. So we did a full court press on the legislature saying, this is ridiculous, you can't hold up our ability to do our tax bills when we're capable of setting our own rates. So that bill did become effective, and that the Commissioner of DRA and the Commissioner of Department of Education said that they're making this a top priority to make sure that all their reporting and data is timely so that we can get our tax bills out. On page 11, go page 11, notice for zoning hearings. Someone had originally put a bill in that they wanted to have everybody notified when there was a zoning change by first-class mail, whenever there was any changes to districts or setbacks or what have you. So they were able to get it amended to just notify if there are 100 or fewer properties that would be affected, then we have to notify them by first-class mail. And then we also have to notify anybody who requests of when the hearings will be. So this is an additional cost to the municipalities. But they seem to think that they don't think it will be terribly burdensome.
That's because they don't have to do it.
I thought you'd get a kick out of that one, Catherine, because you love when they are in violation of the Constitution.
Unfunded what?
Mandate.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and then, let's see, page 14, this is an interesting one. You know how we have a state building code, but towns don't, towns can adopt to enforce it, but they can't require it, they can't make it mandatory, because then they would have to pay for it. So what they tried to get passed, and they finally decided to send it to interim study, is that they would require, similar to like with assessing people, how the legislature said, well, we want to make sure that all your assessors are certified. in the state. Now they want to have building officials be certified by a board. So they're studying it this summer, and it's just
More
something
money.
we should watch.
Yeah, it's going to make it.
Actually, I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea that the people who come and inspect the buildings know what they're doing. And ours would be grandfathered. Now, the only question I've got is that would then our building code enforcement officer be required to recertify every 2 years? If they're already grandfathered, because it seems like they're
No.
grandfathering a guy who's been here, or a person who's been here for over a year, but then requiring recertification for a guy who didn't get certified to begin with.
Can't grandfather.
Seems in conflict somehow.
Well, they are saying that there's going to be continuing education requirements.
Yeah, well, I don't think that's necessarily bad.
Yeah, continue education ones.
Oh, look at 15.
We don't have any campground, RV campground parks in Tilton, do we?
Not that I know of.
I don't think we do.
Not that I know of.
I don't think so.
It's on Jeannie Forrest to try to get in, right?
There's a couple in Belmont, but I don't think we have any.
I know that.
Page 18, capital reserve funds. This is interesting because we always wait to the last possible day to cut the checks to go into the capital reserve funds, but they made it a law that we have to transfer the funds on 12/15. On page 19, I'll make sure that Tim's aware of these if he isn't already. There's a new requirement that whenever you have retirees who are working part-time because they're limiting their hours to 1,300 hours a year, there's this separate report that has to be filed on those individuals. So this is more paperwork for municipalities. And they're going to be issuing a penalty of $25 a day if you're late. They're really cracking down. Now, this is a good one on page 20, abatement authority. They finally clarified in the statutes, and I made a copy of this for Catherine Dawson because I knew she would ask for it, so ask me for it.
It was coming right out of my mouth.
I mean, selectmen really have the authority to abate, you have, as justice may require, you have that authority. This just clarified that you can do it for prior years. You can abate for prior years. I don't know what the problem was that required making legislation to clarify that, so that's a good thing. Sales chasing is not, and this is an interesting one. I didn't realize that people were doing this, but employers were requiring, like, people that signed a release that they wanted to be a new hire, or if they did hire them, that they would have to give them their social media passwords so they could watch and monitor their Facebook and their email.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that.
Say anything bad about your boss or company you fired.
I just say to the face, get it over with, makes it easier.
Wow.
We're on the same level.
Yeah, I'm
Now
more a
They're
face-to-face kind
prohibiting
of guy.
this now. So we can't, it never would dawn on me to ask someone for that.
Nor should it.
They could ask.
SB2, we don't care. Okay, here's one that I'm sure Cindy's already aware of, but they've made it so that you don't have to wait until 1 o'clock to process your absentee ballots. You can do that 2 hours after your polls open. And House Bill 1350, right now, we comply with the 5,000, anything that we receive that's over 5,000, you're supposed to have a public hearing and publish it in the paper and notice it. They've now increased that to 10,000.
The right-to-know law didn't pass. That's nice. That was going to be bad. That would have been painful.
Yeah, they said it was just too costly to municipalities.
Yes. Okay.
There was that.
Okay.
Okay.
Have fun.
That's why I gave you all the good stuff.
Paint storage. Paint storage.
And then on
Sleep well, Albert.
And on page 29, we do need to pay attention to this. These are the big things that are looming. I don't know if you've heard on the radio, but the Medicaid enhancement tax, which has been in effect since at least 1994, which is, it's a glitch in the law where the state of New Hampshire taxes hospitals, and in return, when that money that they pay, they can get matched by Medicaid if they have so many Medicaid patients. So it's just like, oh, we're taxing you, but we're not really taxing you because we're giving your money back, but we're getting all this other money. And they've always been saying it's unconstitutional, but why now, this year, they're fighting it again? So 2 courts have ruled, lower courts have ruled that it's unconstitutional. So it's going to go up to the Supreme Court, and if it prevails in the Supreme Court, the state revenue coffers could be short anywhere between $43 and $100 million.
I thought it was a pyramid scheme right out of the gate.
Oh, it always was, and no one would ever deny that. It was a loophole. And I'm wondering if it has anything to do with all the new legislation with the Affordable Care Act, that they closed that loophole.
I love that name.
And then the other one, if you recall back in 2011, when they made all the retirement reforms, because our retirement system was going to crash, they increased the employee contribution. Group 1 employees were 5%, and they increased it to 7%. And Group 2, our police and fire, it was 9.3 something, and they increased it to 11.55 from the employee. And then the employer, you saw how our rates dramatically increased. And we just got a notice today that our rates, July 1st, there's no change to them for employer contributions, so that's good.
Well, for that period, but going forward,
Right, well, through June 2015.
yeah, okay.
Okay, but if, and then some people, I think it was the firefighters, had sued New Hampshire retirement system saying that that's okay, they could do that, but it had to be for any new hires after 2011. So that's what's being litigated. And if that happens, there could be a $150 million impact because they will come back on the municipalities to make up that shortfall. So, I just thought that was interesting. Today, I was at our meeting, and I'm sure you guys will talk about that when you do your selectmen's reports, but we have to file a shoreland permit application, and this is just for the putting in that culvert and the drainage swale that's in the railroad right-of-way. Remember, a couple weeks ago, you signed a trail permit notification, but now there's the shoreland permit application, and there's 3 copies, and
Where would that be, Joyce?
just as you right now, the trail stops at Mayor's,
That's correct.
okay? You would continue heading west on the railroad.
Yes.
You'd be staying on the south side of the trail. And then you come to Knapp Road, and there would be a new crossing at Knapp Road.
Yes.
So those 2 structures that they're putting in were from where Knapp Road is, within the railroad right-of-way, right until it comes into Ernie's.
I don't recall signing that. Was that the week I was gone, maybe?
2 weeks ago?
It was a while ago. It was,
I don't recall a drainage swale culvert thing on the
there was a
trail.
drainage swale culvert. It was the possibility of the bridge.
Right.
Drainage swale, the culvert, and the possibility of the bridge
Yeah.
for the 3 things that were in the
No,
document.
I wasn't involved in any bridge discussions. I think we've ascertained that.
Right, because they decided they were going to keep the bridge
No, this was because when they filed this thing to DES, if they took the bridge out on it, then they'd have to refile it. But if they left it in, the permit's good for 5 years? So
No, I missed that altogether.
there was no discussion on whether they were going to have the bridge now or not.
I would have asked.
This culvert affects or does not affect the Ernie property?
I'm sorry?
Does this culvert affect or not affect?
It does not affect the culvert.
Nothing to do with it, okay.
There's 3 copies, and you all like to sign, so you're going to have to kind of just squinch in where it says owner. Just sign right there, and then print your name, or if you sign your name, I can print your name and date it. There's 3 copies. And then this, they have to get in tomorrow. Now, with that, here we go. These letters that I had talked about last week, one was sent to the selectmen, and one was sent to Conservation Commission, which I just resent it today, John, to remind the commission, and I'm hoping that they'll have time on Monday to do it. Department of Public Works, Police Department, do you recall getting a letter from Quantum Engineering?
When did we get this?
This is May 22nd. Board of Selectmen, Planning
Are
Board.
we just getting this?
Yeah, I mentioned it last week.
But we got it May 22nd?
We received it May 22nd, yes.
And we're just getting it now? Does the Conservation Commission see
Well,
this?
that was last week.
Joyce?
Yeah, they would have
Was that
received
last
it at
week?
the same time.
No, it wasn't
Yeah,
last week,
you
it
have
was
it
the week
too?
before. Right, this is the 12th.
Joyce was on vacation.
Anybody want a copy of this?
Yeah, I would
We
like.
have it in our emails.
Oh, do we?
Yeah.
Never mind, I don't need a copy.
So, I mean, I have my own, as does the Planning Board, Police, Fire, Public Works. I'll check with Dennis. I can help Dennis with his and the Conservation Commission.
And would the heading on that be?
Quantum letter?
Quantum letter, and it's, wait a minute, hold on a minute. It is...
You don't have to respond, it isn't required that we respond.
Is there anything, Joyce, out of those that you see that you need to
Historical, cultural, natural resources?
Yes.
Okay, I've got that one.
Does anybody else want to see this?
So the project area would be limited to from where the trail picks up at Mayor's and
So this one.
going to where the proposed bridge would go on the Salmon Falls.
Well, that was the plan, but it's not anymore.
That's
Do we-
part of this grant.
Do we have a copy of Phase 2?
Copy of Phase 2. I have a whole set of plans of Phase 2.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's been in my office, and it's spread out on top of the credenza.
Okay, I want to see it.
Yeah, I got that.
I would like to see it.
Glenn brought it over.
See this?
Now, is that our copy?
Yes. It's our copy. Oh, good, thank you.
That's why.
And then I sent the board members just a little update. Every couple of weeks, I call C.R. Wilkie down at the DOT and the State Aid Highway Program just to find where we are with our Caleb Hill grant request. And he, yeah, this is your original. I have them. And he's still in the process of packaging things up. He has 2 other communities that are also asking for 80/20. So he was going to package all of them together instead of doing it separately. I
So
said,
as far
"Fine."
as that quantum thing, who's going to respond?
Well, the letter's been sent to all the different departments, and this is the one that's gone to the selectmen, so,
Because there are definitely issues here that they need answers to. Has any land conservation money been used? Are there any significant art structure type things, stone walls or that ruined dam down at the end of Salmon Run would fall into that category, I
Right,
would
and I'm
think.
sure Conservation Commission, they have all
Water
that information.
resources, we're in an aquifer district. I mean, there definitely are answers to some of these questions.
Oh, yes.
Okay. And I was just wondering who was going to respond.
I suspect after Monday night's Conservation Commission meeting, this letter is going to have to be rewritten, because Salmon Falls is taken out of the equation.
Isn't that the potential for the bridge landing at some, like in the next century or something?
Well, to quote Chuck, when and if the bridge comes back into the picture, then they'll work on putting the trail through Salmon Run.
Well, I'll be here on the 16th anyway, so I can raise those questions. Okay, I'm good.
Right, but Conservation Commission hasn't, they're not prohibiting the trail to go through Salmon Run.
They are right now.
Yeah, they are.
That was
Because
at
of
that
the
meeting here.
criteria. Right, because of the criteria from the state.
That's my understanding anyway, Joyce.
There is
but-
no agreement in place to have, between the Conservation Commission and the WRTA, for the trail to go across Salmon Run.
Right,
There was
that is
something in the
correct.
deed
And that the
to allow
Tuesday
for a bridge.
meeting, just the bridge.
Yeah.
At the Tuesday meeting that we had here, they all concurred, it wasn't a strict vote, but that there would be no plans right now to do anything on Salmon Run.
Thought I heard when hell freezes over bandied about.
Well, yes, that was said, but then today,
It's kind
it
of
was,
referring to a traffic light.
Oh, no, yeah, that was
Today-
me who said that, but
today it was stated that if and when the bridge comes to fruition, then the Conservation Commission will entertain a trail across Salmon Run.
good enough.
But not until then. Now, none of that's been voted on, but that's been the dialogue.
Yeah, it is on the deed that they can put in a bridge, or there's a,
The bridge, but
The
only the
bridge.
bridge.
so naturally there'll be some kind of trail to it.
Right.
Just work out the details on the bridge.
So, I mean, we have to answer some of these things. I think it would be up to the conservation first to answer them,
I would let them answer that and then give it back to us.
and then give it back to us, okay?
And then we'll peruse it. That's my suggestion.
Okay? I'm okay with that.
And let me just go through my notes here. In your FYI, we had a favorable ruling in the Belknap County Superior Court on the Main Street property, and also the BTLA agreement was settled. Those were two good things. Let's see. And I had sent an email to everyone explaining that the Clark-Colby work being done, and I think you had brought this up at the last meeting, that it is a full reclamation, and it did come about because it was always on the list. They knew that it needed work, just didn't know when. But when when the gas tax money became available, those two roads immediately shot to this season.
That doesn't make any sense.
Well,
We weren't even on a list according to the director.
They're Class 2 state aid roads.
We weren't on a 20-year list.
No, we
Their
weren't on any
goal
list.
has always been for the towns to take back all the Class 2 state aid roads. I think it
just
was
saying.
because they believed us when we were adamant in saying that we would not take them back.
And then the reason that they didn't put Winter Street forward, since it's more critical than the other two, is because there's just so much more work involved with all the utilities, the sidewalks, curb cuts.
Well, the Veterans Home wants to run a gas line up.
Gas and water, I think they said.
No,
Yep.
I think it ends at the middle school, and they want to run it up to the Veterans Home to convert it from number 2 to gas. That's what we heard last night from
No.
the facilities director.
That's good. I'll have to dig up the base pretty good to get that in there.
Thank you. Tim is still working on the cable, the internet side letter. He's changing the type of fiber, and he's getting some new estimates.
And that will complete his requirements? Okay.
And that's the letter that's going to give us ownership of whatever is in our building? That we can do with whatever we wish with?
That's what he is attempting to do.
Okay.
It would be better if he explained it.
I don't believe we're going to own the wire from the pole to the building. We're going to own everything inside the building.
I'll let him explain it.
As long as we can reconnect somebody else's wire in the future to ours.
That is the plan.
Yeah, you need to have complete control.
We should own everything within
No
the building.
monopolies.
Carol Lee Longley had stopped in last week and wanted to know if we could put a fundraiser can for Bert Southwick to help raise money for to fix his barn. People are going to volunteer, but they need money for
They
supplies
register?
and things.
Did they register?
Register? What?
Their fundraiser.
No, they did not. This is just a coffee can to
This
collect
is
money.
just a grassroots.
But I said I'd have to bring it to the selectmen. I said I didn't think it was likely
There's also
because
an
we
account
don't.
online, GoFundMe, that you can click on and donate.
Primarily because if you do it for one, you have to do it for everybody, and we don't want to be responsible for.
We can't have continuous cans running through down there. I like Bert Southwick. I've known him since I was a little kid, but
But we do there are often things down there to raise money.
Well, we
already do that.
Well, we do that with the kids for at the middle school when they do the money for the, drop off things for the animal shelter. And we put a sign up saying that tickets for the trails auction are available, and who to see for that. But as far as actually leaving a can of money, people to put money in.
would that be a town clerk, tax collector issue, seeing as it's
No.
on her counter?
No, it's our counter. It's our space.
Okay,
No, it's the selectmen's policy.
okay.
So she understood that I had to bring it to the selectmen, but I didn't think that it would be.
I'd be in favor of it as long as they understand that we're not going to, if the money disappears, we're not going to be accountable for the can or the money.
Well, and also our building is so open, like right now.
That's right.
Anybody can.
Well, we have a camera pointed
We have a
at
camera, but yes, they need to understand that we're not going to,
Not the best place, because somebody could, they can do it.
we've
but-
not had anything walk away yet.
Somebody, it's been good.
Yeah, we haven't had anything walk away. Because I think we,
And there is camera. You can go back and watch to see who picked it up
Yeah.
if it came to that.
I'd be in favor of that,
Without precedent.
without precedent.
I don't want to be in a
Words right out of
position,
my mouth.
I know you after all these years. I don't want to be put in a position where everybody that comes in with a can, it would have to be a case-by-case basis.
right, I'll make a motion to allow the donation can for Bert Southwick.
I'll second that.
Any more discussion?
Just the stipulations that we're not responsible for the contents of the can and that we do not necessarily endorse
Right.
or whatever, any particular efforts, and yeah, I'd be okay with that. I'll even put money in it, but Town of Tilton doesn't endorse or whatever any particular individuals in this instance.
All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Yes.
All right, you get back to them and let them know that they've got to come on a weekly basis to make sure that they keep up with it.
And did you get a chance to look at Manville Road?
Yes.
Yes, Al and I were on it.
Mr. Allen went by as well, and none of us anyway, I speak for Catherine, but I shouldn't, but I know from Mr. Allen and myself, there were no issues at all.
I have issues on the site, but not with the road.
And that's what the
was
bond
specifically
applies
for
to,
the
right?
road.
Yeah.
Bond applies to the road.
So the check was in there, so we can go ahead and
Yep.
give it to the treasurer to sign.
Yep.
Okay. And, I mean, I have more,
Is
but
that okay, everybody?
I'm fine, yes, I didn't have issues with the
I
road.
do have a question about this manifest, if this is the right time to bring it up while Joyce is sitting here. And that is a check for $1,049.83 to a company who apparently didn't live up to their contract, didn't give proper notice of withdrawal, and only worked one day. How could that possibly be?
no, that's for the prior month.
Thought they only worked one day.
No,
They do Riverfront Park.
No, no,
No,
no, this is for May, not June.
Are you
We pay at the
talking,
end of the month.
who are you talking for?
I'm talking about capital contractors.
What is, it's for May.
Don't know, it's
well, that's our
6/12,
previous.
Tri-State?
No, Capital.
the new guys.
When was
Only
Capital
worked a
done,
day.
Catherine?
Capital was done in May.
They didn't send us.
The new guys are Tri-State.
Capital was the previous cleaner.
Capital.
Okay, then
Capital.
it's not the one that only
No.
worked a day.
No, 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 no.
What one was that?
Tri-State.
Tri-State.
Tri-State. Tri-State only worked a day, okay.
Yes,
That
it
was
was
my question. I thought these were the guys, and I could not for the life of me understand why we would pay them money.
No, I'm just, let me just make sure it was the May bill.
Well, it's cut on 6/12, so it's not June's bill.
So,
May
Yeah.
monthly service.
What was their last day of service with us?
June 1st, the other one started.
Yes, but when was Capital's last day?
When did Capital turn in their keys?
last Friday, the,
30th? 29th?
It's been a week.
That last weekday of the month, they did.
Okay.
Yeah, and they were good.
Okay.
Turned in the keys and
so they were supposed to start.
no hard feelings.
No, they fully admitted that they could not live up to the contractual price.
Yeah.
I don't want you to
Actually, I just wanted to say it another 20 times tonight. Tri-State Cleaners. Ask for them by name. Ask for them by name.
I have one question, and I think Catherine can answer that. How much did the Parks Commission budget for landscaping?
I don't know.
It says two of 6 payments, and it's $2,000. Did they actually budget $12,000 for the landscaping? That's how much it costs us?
Yes.
Well, okay.
No wonder the park is so nice.
Oh, I think they're doing an excellent job. Don't get me wrong, but-
This company got the herbicide on in time. Last year, it wasn't applied in time. Yes,
Who is it that's doing it?
Total Grounds, yeah.
local, Tilton Company.
Were there any pump issues this spring, Catherine? Water
Not
pump? Not yet?
They ran over one of the covers to the irrigation, I was there, and within 2 hours had replaced it. I mean, it was just that quick.
Okay.
Okey-dokey.
GNC, which they've been doing the parks.
I had an option, I had an occasion to go to, at the Citgo the other day, and lo and behold, there was a vehicle
Look at that.
parked
And that's on my list.
Down there.
in front of Jabuda.
That was on my
So-
list.
I called the PD, and I said, I just witnessed a vehicle pull in, there's no flags, there's nothing in front of them to stop there. You can still kind of vaguely see the Jim Cropsey artwork of a parking space, so in defense of the person that's parking there, sees that it's somewhat of a parking space. So I said, so it's not really a parking space, you can't park there because you have to go over the sidewalk. Well, I can't repeat on camera what the man told me, but Luke Corporal Pinot came down, spoke with them, and he exited, I will show you this is how he came out. He exited between the building and then took a U-turn and went downtown.
Now, with the police officer right there, was
Well, he
there-
wasn't there yet.
Oh,
He came between the building and then took a U-turn and headed down that way again.
extremely bold.
Okay. Between the building, he took a U-turn, came through there, and then he took a U-turn going the opposite way, downtown. So that is the epitome of unsafe, and he crossed over the sidewalk to get there, went in between a building and a telephone pole, utility pole, which is not a right-of-way, and exited going the opposite direction, which was on a sidewalk where he did it, right hugging the pole. It wasn't in the right-of-way going into the Citgo station. He was hugging the pole when he did it. So Corporal Pinot went in. You could see that there are absolutely no flags there, nothing. There wasn't, there were small PVC pipes this high before, and then they would put the flags in, but there's nothing. And he went in and spoke with the owner of the store, and the owner of Jabuta first, and the owner of Jabuta said, well, the sidewalk machine took down a couple, and I said, well, I didn't realize that, so I asked Dennis that question, and the question, no, we did not. That's not a true statement. And I said, okay. So Luke, further, I talked with them again, and Luke went into the store, and they said, this is now 2 weeks that it happened, and he said he had sign posts just like he had in the parking lot. He had a post that was fixed to the ground that said no parking. Those were on order, they had come in, but he just hadn't had time to go out there and put them up. That was 2 weeks ago. I don't see them, unless they come in tonight, or I don't see them. I'd really like you folks to go out and check to see where they are. I'm not going to take no for an answer. Something has to be put up in front of here in order to give them, the public, not to park in front of that building. It's a safety hazard.
That was part of our agreement.
Can't we make
That's a
that
sidewalk.
no
This is a
parking on
sidewalk.
that side of street from,
Park on the sidewalk? Is that what they're doing?
No, he
They
parked right
crossed
up
the
against.
sidewalk.
from Prospect to Academy? Chief,
Like it's is that
can't we
the-
make that no parking on that side of the street from Prospect over to Academy?
We can.
And then put up no parking,
Looked at that before,
and then put up no parking signs?
just trying to figure out where to put the signs, because that's the spot where the sidewalk's close to the street.
Quite frankly, there is no parking on that side of the street currently,
No.
and they're supposed to have flags up. Now, in front of the store, there's a barrier there with PVC pipes and all sorts of stuff. There was no parking right in front of the store. But further down, in front of Jabuta, there was definitely,
No.
what the heck happened?
We can't do that. It's Route 311. We can't do that.
But there
The
is no
state has
parking.
never allowed, has never granted parking on that side of the street. So if we were going to put them up, we'd have to get their permission or ask them to put them up. So I would suggest that we send that picture to, our buddy Bill Lambert or Mark Morrow. Maybe CC them both.
We have an
And
agreement.
ask,
We have an agreement with them that they're putting permanent markers up in front, which,
Flags or
right in
whatever.
front here along the sidewalk line.
They can put them on their property.
Yes, that's
That's
what they're
correct.
doing.
But they're not you're saying
Which
it's been
would
2
block-
weeks and they're not up, so we could ask the state to put up at least one sign, no parking from here to,
No, I think that we do not have to go to the state. We can, on our sidewalk, which is our sidewalk, if we have to, put the horses back up until they comply.
They were supposed to have signs in front of that building.
Yep. That's what was supposed to happen.
One half of it has pretty much been taken care of. The other half, not so much. They have the berm thing, and they have PVC posts, and
It is illegal for a car to cross that sidewalk. to
Correct.
park. So,
He left just before the officer got there, or he would have found out that I was really telling the truth. And
but
his
you have a
words,
picture.
and his words were very
you
unnecessary.
have a picture and you have the guy's license plate, I would guess, in the picture. Is
Very.
it still possible to pursue the individual?
Nice curb, a nice granite curb there.
You've got a picture of him doing it.
We talked
You've
about
got
it,
the
but that's not
license
going to
plate
happen.
number in the
It costs
picture.
money. The other problem is.
There's nothing saying it's
because of the
illegal.
elevation, if you put a curb in, you're going to raise up the sidewalk. And
Go across
because
the
of
sidewalk.
how close the doors are on those storefronts to the sidewalk, you'd be sending water straight into those doors.
No, I don't, I just want to make sure that we get some signage up there, that's all. Those sawhorses might have to come back, I
There's no
guess.
type of painting that could go yellow line, diagonal stripe, no parking, or something like that?
That's not our property. So we
can't stripe
do-
his property.
We can't stripe his property. Mr. Cropsey painted that parking spaces there without permission from the state. And everybody has this illusion that they're parking spaces, and they're not.
So why can't they park there? If
Because it's
his-
illegal to cross
Cross over
a
the sidewalk.
sidewalk unless the sidewalk is crossing over a driveway entrance or a street.
Right.
You cannot cross over a sidewalk to park in that,
You got like
such
a
as that
driveway
situation.
permit,
That's correct.
so you would have to get a
Right.
permit from the state.
And they won't grant one.
Which doesn't exist there. So
Right.
we have an agreement with them to try to prevent that required posts and flags, and they had the option of little signs, and they finally put in berms on one end of it, but the other end is...
Until they got the permanent signs, they put flags up that they would take in at night, just in place of the sawhorses, because it looked like they were not open for business. So we came to an alternative to put the flags up in PVC, and they took the flags in at night so they wouldn't be stolen, and put them out when they open, and people couldn't, they were every so many feet so that a car couldn't get in. But they were removed. And I was parked in the Citgo, and all of a sudden, this guy pulled in. And the amount of foot traffic coming from the school is phenomenal. And then you have Tilton School coming this way, and then you have the high school and middle school coming this way, and then you have Southwick people and the Hall Memorial coming across the street. It's a lot.
and buses and trucks in the intersection, and people trying to swing in and out of there, and apparently doing U-turns.
It's pretty scary. And, I mean, it's all been decided. We had meetings and meetings and meetings with the state and the STOA.
You know, we should do an eminent domain action and take some square footage in front of that storefront to move our sidewalk safely away from the highway.
I vote no.
Well, it's just a thought. This has come up for year after year after year after year.
I just want the signs back.
I mean, the other
I think I
option
would-
is he could have moved our sidewalk closer to his building, and they might have given him one space there.
I vote no.
I would consider that. I'm not an eminent domain person, but I would consider that for the safety of the children that walk on the streets.
Move the
The signs will work
you
just
look
as
at where
well
our
as taking
sidewalk
somebody's
is-
If
property.
we can get them to put the signs up, I'm fine with that.
Well, then let's work that. If they don't want to go with that, then maybe we'll have another talk.
Right now, when you get closer to Prospect Street, the sidewalk is like this, and when you watch tractor trailers coming off of Park Street,
They go-
they're in our sidewalk.
That's a
Yeah.
bad
Come right-
intersection for
the cab
turning
has to come in.
trucks.
The cab part.
And they
has
all
to
come in on exit 19.
Matured.
Because the sidewalk has been so pushed into the road.
Oh, I see.
I mean, if someone took the time to study documents, they'd probably find that that is not where our sidewalk original location was.
I'm guessing there's a light stanchion sitting in the middle of it.
So,
All right, so that was one of the things that I had. The other one was the trash being put out at between 7 and 8 a.m. on Winter Street. This is the second week in a row.
Has this been fixed yet?
down in Town
That the
Hall?
day prior?
Tuesday.
No, that's not.
2 days prior.
That's not going to be.
This
correct.
is the
Well, we have a check for $587 going to them.
Because now it works. It just
Tuesday
isn't
morning
set.
between
It isn't
7 and
coming-
8 a.m. This is the
it isn't
second,
coming into Town Hall.
second week in a row.
Working.
And the
It's
next
working,
house
it's just
down
not
has,
feeding
has it
down.
also. And trash pickup is on Thursday. And animals get in it, and then it ends up on Riverfront Park.
Well, until the animals get in it, it's their property and their bags, right?
Nope,
We have an ordinance.
we have an ordinance.
So I can't store purple bags on my property?
Nope.
Not
That's where it goes? All right.
3 days before the pickup.
No, technically, the whole garbage thing is 5 PM the night before or whatever. Yeah, I understand that.
I spoke with, make sure I get these right. I have not been able to get a hold of Sydney Noyes, the owner of 1 Winter Street.
Is that the bags?
That's one of them.
All right.
That's the one with the single bag. The one with the multiple bags at 3 Winter Street, Charles Cibolero, I spoke with actually just before this meeting began. And he, at 4:05, I spoke with him and let him know that our ordinance does not allow those bags out to be, for pickup, except on the day of pickup. And that there is quite a hefty fine involved if
How'd that go?
he said, he thanked me for letting him know and said that he would notify his tenants.
We've
Okey-doke.
let him know in the past.
So my suggestion is that we send him
A reminder?
Follow up with a letter to him. I can send him a copy of the littering ordinance. And I also have taken a stab at rewriting I'm calling it the trash collection ordinance, which kind of involves the recycling. So please put your highlighter down. I've highlighted on the back, you'll see in yellow, I highlighted the limit of that. I was going to eliminate it all completely because since they're paying for the garbage, doesn't matter how many they put out. They're paying for it, right? So does it really matter? So,
How many purple bags?
yeah, I mean, if they want to put out 10, does it matter? Because, they spent
More money.
all more money, right? So this is my stab at it, so take it and look at it. I've increased the fees. A violation is up to $1,000, right, Chief?
Yeah, you can't go over.
Can't exceed 1,000. I looked at other communities around us and one that's not so around us, and they're averaging about $250 for the fine. You'll see that on the last page. And that every day they're in violation. So this one would have been, it was out on the 10th, right? So that would have been 3 days of violation, 2 days of violation, Tuesday and Wednesday, so it would have been a $500 fine.
Wow.
So take a look at it,
This is
I
not the
do
first time
suggest,
we
Kat.
called them.
and see what you think, add to it.
Okay.
Now, is this to replace the one that town meeting adopted?
Right. Well, yes, we would have to have town meeting rescind it, but the selectmen
Have the
have the authority,
Okay.
and I put it in here under the authority, 47:17 in RSA 147, we have the authority to enact this. So that's why I gave it a different name.
Okay.
We can enact this, put the other one on the shelf, and go to town meeting and ask them to rescind it.
So Catherine, let me understand this, because I have you right here. I think I do understand, but I want to make sure that the provisions of this proposed rewriting of the ordinances, purple bags at the side of the road are in violation of the ordinance.
Purple bags put out the day before collection.
No. Purple bags,
No.
well,
No, because it says it's the owner's responsibility if they're ruptured or torn by an animal.
it
Right.
says something about watertight. It says something here about,
Those are the cans. If you're going to take your garbage and put it in a can, and it says in here that if you are going to use a can to store it, basically to store it, then the garbage must be put in purple recycling bags in the can. But the can can't, the idea is in most of these, the can can't weigh more than 50 pounds, because that's what OSHA and picking up a garbage can, dumping it in a bucket is.
I think
So if you don't have a tight-fitting lid, and it rains on it for a week, and it fills up with water, plus the garbage, it's gonna make more than 50 pounds.
what it says is the garbage shall be placed in cans and it shall be contained in town of Tilton authorized recycle bags. Doesn't say after you're using a can. Nowhere do I see a
Well,
"if"
then
here.
put it in there, and we'll
Okay,
change
all
it.
right, I just wanted to know what your intent was. And if your intent is not to require cans,
Bags of garbage that are not, that
We
are put
can't
out for collection, not in cans or receptacles, shall be responsible, oh, that we need to put, resident.
then it says
Residents
about,
shall be
shall be placed in
Shall be
cans.
responsible.
To clean up, right, residents. So the intent is really basically in the last paragraph, so we have to correct the other two paragraphs.
Yeah, as long as they don't compete with each other.
No, so that's what I'm
All right.
saying, get out your highlighters and,
Okay. You've sent this electronically, correct?
I tried to.
It's so much easier to correct them electronically.
I'll try again. I don't know why it didn't work, my computer kept shutting off. I
Okay.
was sitting there and all
It
of a
was the
sudden.
computer's fault.
No, I was, twice today, I'm sitting there, and I turned around and I looked back and the computer's shutting off. I'm like, what are you doing?
Sleep.
No, it shut off. It didn't go to sleep. It shut off.
Maybe you have a virus.
Turn it on.
Maybe you have a virus. It's
I
a
don't know.
possibility.
It was really annoying. Twice. But it didn't lose anything.
Well, that's
Overheating.
I don't know.
Okay, the Boston cane, you already have that, we already did that. There is, I'm putting this out there mostly for the, if anybody's watching us, each year we get community service people, I have them mow the lawn at one seniors. If we don't have any community service people, I do the mowing. Right now, it's not okay for me to do that kind of mowing, and it really, I have one senior's yard that really needs to be mowed. So if there's anybody out there kind enough to volunteer to do a small gesture of kindness, and it's a small lawn, not the back one, just the front, and that would be very helpful.
Where
So
is
they
this
can.
lawn?
School Street. Very small, up on School Street, and I'm sure that'd be
Is
very
there a
appreciated.
mower on site?
No, but you can, I'll bring mine, I just can't physically go out there and do it, because I'm not well enough to do it right now.
I'll give you a call.
All right, you can certainly, I'll bring
I have
them all.
I have a tractor and no way to transport it, but, I mean, I would push a mower around or whatever is required. I have no problem.
Just a small one,
All right,
okay,
we'll talk.
okay. So that's all I have. Catherine, what do you have?
I got a lot of stuff. Do you want to talk about the Quinty asbestos site, or I haven't heard back from DES, so that could wait until next week.
All right, Can we put that on old business?
Yeah.
Asbestos site. Oh, yeah, we're gonna meet well, it's just gonna be the three of us next week.
2 weeks.
No, 19th is next week.
I may have to take action on it.
We'll all be here in 2 weeks, so 19th.
Well, let me just give you a brief synopsis. Are you familiar with the Manville of the former Quinty site with the asbestos?
Basically, yes.
There's two tracks. There's two asbestos sites there. And they are required to have an activity use restriction recorded, which is not. I couldn't find it. They are also, there are different criteria that they're supposed to be held to. Which is more of a maintenance issue. They are, excuse me, there is a riprap banking around part of it on the Winnipesaukee Riverside that they are supposed to mow twice a year, every 2 years.
We have to mow the riprap?
Removal of all trees with a base diameter of larger than 2 inches from the track to riprap slope along the Winnipesaukee River. Well, there's trees up there getting up to 3.5, 4 inches in diameter. The whole riprap banking is full of various types of trees, so that hasn't been done. Mowing every other year of the surface of the entire closed asbestos landfill to within 25 feet of the limits of the buried waste. That hasn't been done. And the reason that has to be kept mowed is because they want a good solid sod cover over it. So it's happened because it hasn't been mowed. You have patches of approximately a foot square where there's nothing growing. It's just dirt. There are pine trees growing up in it. There are a couple of big patches of sweet fern, which is a woody plant. So it's indicating that it probably hasn't been mowed in 4 or 5 years. They have clear cut. I can't interfere with logging operations, so they have every right to clear cut, but it is a clear cut. They went in there and sheared the trees. There were no chainsaws involved in this. It is amazing the vast area that's been denuded of vegetation.
Huge.
So when they did this, it opened up the whole north side of that track 2 asbestos site, and it is the biggest site. So there's no chain link fence. Anybody
It's
on
not delineated either, is it?
Yes, it is. Anybody on a all-terrain vehicle, four-wheeler, dirt bike, can get access to it. So they're going to have to continue their chain link fence to block that off from that type of traffic.
How do we get them to comply with that?
I've notified Department of Environmental Services, Mike McCluskey, he was the gentleman that was involved in it in 2008, the first time I walked in there. He's currently investigating it. I sent him an email letting him know that I also couldn't find the AUR, and I think they're supposed to have their remedial action plan recorded as well. He's going to investigate it and get back to me. So I'll let you know as that progresses. The estimate for the tree work has come in. Chippers is the company that responded to the requests. The park commissioners voted to go forward with the Civil War Monument Park, which needs the most work, and we're going to hold on Riverfront Park because the estimates came out much higher than we anticipated, so we didn't have enough money to do Riverfront Park as well. The Main Street trees, the estimate is $1,275. approximately 25 ornamental trees along Main Street between Railroad and Tilton Inn, pruned to shape and thin, lift canopies to balance and reduce potential for pedestrian injuries, prune back from buildings where necessary, and prune off dead or damaged branches and any sucker growth on stems. The Island Park estimate is $2,700. Maple tree center of island with partially decay on stem, prune off branches to reduce weight of canopy, overlean and potential for failure of the tree. Maple left side of center tree, prune off dead branches. Oak tree left side by bandstand, prune off dead branches. Feature oak, left side of island, prune off dead branches over island. Oak by flag, prune off branches encroaching on flag. 24-inch oak tree by fireplace, prune off dead branches. And 4 maple trees right side by footbridge, prune off storm damaged and dead branches. And I said 2,700.
Did they take a look at the beaver tree? Where the beaver cut the bark all the way around?
I don't know.
It doesn't look dead or anything, but in my experience, when they go all the way around and there's nothing for it's only a matter of time.
How much did you folks put in your budget?
I don't remember, I'd have to look, but I think it was just enough to cover the $2,800 for the Civil War monument. There's some extensive work they have to do. One of the trees, they're gonna have to bring in a crane truck. There's a large section on the top that storm damaged leader, and they're concerned about that eventually, coming down to earth and...
Is there any danger of it falling on the old veterans home?
Pardon?
Isn't that building back there the old veterans home?
No. The veterans home is the old veterans home. It was always on that site.
Really?
They tore down the original building.
Oh, okay.
That's why it doesn't look anything like it used to.
Yeah.
The work that needs to be done in the Civil War monument. 4 sugar maples around park, safety prune all trees, removing all dead wood 2 inches in diameter or larger. Remove large storm damaged leader in tree top of hill. Tree on top of hill? Reduce weight in large leaning tree closest to house to reduce potential for failure and prune off large stub from previous storm damage on same tree. Crane truck will need to be brought in to safely remove storm damaged leader. This will require police presence on the road for safety. Use around monument, prune back shrubs dramatically, remove 2/3 of canopy to reduce size and intrusion on monument. And that's the $2,800 one. And it does not include the police presence.
Well, it's town of Tilton. anyway.
Right, but I'm just saying, so,
Do
But the
you,
officers have to be paid the regular detail
so
rate,
are you
don't they?
saying that there's not enough money in the budget to do all of them?
there's enough money for us to take care of the Civil War monument. There isn't enough money in the Park Commissioner's budget to take care of the riverfront park trees. And most of that...
What about the island?
No, the island isn't under our purview anyway. That's the town of Tilton and the town of Northfield.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And the Main Street trees, this is Selectmen. We get the estimate for you because we usually
Yep.
get a reduced
Right.
price because we're doing all the trees.
Yeah.
What was the estimate for the riverfront park?
$1,900. There's 64 trees in Riverfront Park.
Really?
And they'll need some love and care, but it seems like the Civil War monument trees are more of a gotta-do-it thing. That tree is gonna fall on the house.
Right, there's,
Any potential
that's
for
why
that.
we decided to go with, have that done, because there's more potential for damaging somebody else's property. Some of these could fall on the road or the sidewalk.
Are there any danger at riverfront?
There's some dead,
Safety.
yeah, there's dead or damaged branches and a lot of sucker growth. This storm damage, but they're smaller trees. So
Is it a safety issue?
it could be some of them. Not as eminent as a Civil War monument.
Well, if it's either or, I would go with the Civil War monument.
Well, if you have the potential of a safety issue that's going on in Riverfront, then I think that we should at least assist in getting that done. Not necessarily the whole portion of it. The suckers can wait until next year, when they put money into the budget. But if there's trees at Riverfront that are storm damaged, with the amount of people that use Riverfront Park as opposed to the other parks, I would say that I wouldn't want the liability, knowing that we have trees there that are storm damaged and broken and have the potential for
I
unsafe.
don't want to endanger anybody on any level, but do you really think that Riverfront Park, for the most part, presents any danger to the public? Those trees are relatively small, and anything low-hanging, you could just lop off with a pair of shears.
Well, these are most, whenever you have dead or damaged branches, so this, let me read Riverfront Park to you. 64 ornamental trees around park, prune to shape and encourage balanced and proper growth. Prune out dead or damaged branches, crossing branches and sucker growth. Thin tree canopies lightly to reduce potential for disease, storm damage, and to improve overall appearance. So some of it is aesthetic, but whenever you have a tree, there's always dead or damaged branches. And, the potential for those dead or damaged branches to fall on somebody is there. But again, they're smaller trees. The island has a lot of dead issues, as I read to you.
The island's an issue.
So
no
that
doubt.
definitely needs to be done. Riverfront Park, most of the trees are not overhanging the walkway. Could somebody get hurt, some little kid? Well, even if we had the work done, the potential for damage to occur after the work is done and somebody getting hurt is there. Is it imminent? I don't know.
I'm going to go walk around at the end of the meeting.
How often should it be pruned?
At least every-
Shaping and,
Every 2 years.
Every 2 years, they
At
had
least.
said it,
when did we do it last?
2 years. This is the second year. It's due this year. But again, the Civil War trees, the Civil War Park has never really been completely addressed. It is so
It's so overgrown now that-
even before the park commissioners, it just was allowed to just grow. So we've been slowly trying to bring it in. But anyway, that's that.
here too.
And the rest of this can wait. It's just incidental stuff, kind of catch-up stuff.
So how much did we budget for the trees? Do you remember? Did we,
The island, well, for the island, we have 2,000.
and it came to what, how much?
2,700. But Northfield should pay for half of that.
Can we let them know that we've got an estimate to do that?
Yep.
And then,
Copy that estimate to send
Yep.
them.
What did we budget for Main Street trees?
We didn't.
I don't think we did.
We didn't?
No, I don't.
Town hall maintenance, and
Oh, so we didn't specifically budget for those?
we didn't specifically budget for it.
And what's the Main Street, Catherine, again?
1,275. So, would be close.
Well, we got to
Well-
find the money for downtown, too.
Well, if Northfield's paying a half of 2,700, you almost have it right there. Well, no, because we had 2,000. That's only 1,000. We've got to come up with another $300.
All of a sudden, to send them an estimate, they may or may not have budgeted anything. And
They
that
know
could-
it. No, they knew
They
it.
knew that there was going to be tree
They
work.
know every 2 years we do the trees. We gave them
Okay.
a maintenance schedule
Okay,
of what we do along with the,
and I hope it
Mowing.
works like that. Truly.
No,
I'm not being facetious.
when we sat down with Glenn in the selectmen a
Good.
few years ago, we said what would,
This is the schedule, and, okay.
what would cost us would be the trees, getting the trees trimmed, and then last year, we had a tree taken down, a couple trees taken
Yeah.
down, which were donated, remember, and they said, okay.
Yeah, I do indeed. They've been good about it, I don't know if they had it in their budget, that's all. But if they do, we're all set.
I'll make sure you get it, Catherine.
Was that the only bid, Catherine?
It's the only one we got.
You sent others out, right?
There's not a lot of them that will take on that.
Yeah,
And it's not quite big enough for the bigger companies.
yeah, and the little guys can't quite do it, so it's gotta be somebody in the middle. I know how that works.
Yeah, it's funny. I should say yes.
All right. John, do you have anything for it?
Let's see, well, Conservation Commission is going to let them use the River Run Park for the kayak race, which is this weekend.
Yep.
They're going to be releasing the water Saturday and Sunday. I'm not sure when it officially is released, but they're going to allow them to use it this year. Chuck went down and Kathy and pruned quite a bit.
They
By
did.
themselves in
Yep.
those, I think that's sycamore that has the big spines.
They've been down there a few times working.
Yeah.
I saw them down there.
I went down, I mowed again, and I went behind Ernie's and cut down a bunch of the sumac just to keep it under control for now. And some of the riverfront, the kayakers mentioned about helping clean some of the brush down towards the river. I missed the budget committee meeting.
I noticed.
We were all there, everybody but you.
Well,
I got stuck in traffic, I came home, I sat in the chair, so I'm gonna close my eyes, I woke up at 8, swearing.
You sent me a text.
I don't know what I said. Well, that's not what I said when I woke up. I didn't even know where I was,
Oh, it's happened to me before.
so maybe we can get an update on,
They appointed a new member to the Budget Committee, Mo Ward, is the last name?
Is it?
I don't recall her last name, Mo.
Mo. Ward.
Board?
W-A-R-D, I believe.
Former superintendent of schools, lived in town for 4 years. She has a lot of educational budgetary experience, wants to put time into the town. She seemed like an extremely good candidate to me. So they voted, and they had a quorum, and a majority of the quorum voted to put her in, and the paperwork was given to her, and she's supposed to go down and see Cindy to be
get
sworn in.
sworn in,
Yep.
off.
She seemed like a very knowledgeable, nice person.
Cindy's preparing an application for the budget committee to use, so it won't have the selectmen's approval signatures.
And our budget
of
committee.
The budget
approval.
committees, but it'll basically be the same form that we use.
To
To approve the members.
approve the members,
Yeah. So that way we have it.
make it official.
Yeah,
a good
and we
idea.
have the information stored. Funny, we never do it before.
That's all that I can think of. Quiet.
So a week from tomorrow, 2 weeks from tomorrow is tax deeding time. Everyone has 2 weeks to get their taxes paid, or some will be deeding. The list is starting to go down a little bit, but we are looking at it very closely. Joe?
I would add to that don't assume that, take care of it. Come in and talk to us now. Don't wait till after. Okay, so, I went to the recycling, NRRA recycling convention, seminar, I'm not sure, group meeting, people from all over New England and the country, discussing various recycling issues. It was very, very informative. I spoke with Sarah Bernier from Waste Zero. We had lunch together the first day and discussed our issues with the bags. And she told me again to have people call the 1-800 number because if they had a bag issue, because there is a method for dealing with them.
That number on the bags, too?
The number is on every single bag, every single bag. And I discussed with her the fact that although the quality of the bags themselves, the purple part that holds the actual trash, seem to be working out pretty well, the ties at the top seem to be, I don't know, I won't even use the word I use, but they're inadequate, okay? And she said that she was going to check into that there were other options as well, like the tie, the ones that have the little ears on the side, where instead of being flat across with a drawstring, there are two little ears, and you hook them up and turn it. Or tie them, and they close that way. She said several times that those white handles, the white ties, and the plastic that is hooked together at the white ties were not designed as a handle. So I don't know if people use them as a handle and they rip then, or they're ripping. I don't actually use that, so I'm not sure, but don't use them as a handle. And she was going to send us information on the various methods for securing the bag, whether it's little twister ties or just so that we have the options that are available. I said to myself, so we have we're no longer Sarah Bernier. We're on to, we have a pay-as-you-throw garbage plan. It's cut almost 50% of our MSW in 10 months. We're still having some minor glitches here and there, but we're working in a really positive direction. Where do we go from here? Well, the theme, unintentionally, I think, down there was in community-based composting. Approximately 70% of MSW garbage by weight when they test it, is over and over again compostable material. It's wet garbage, it's coffee grounds, it's lettuce, it's peels, it's stuff like that. 70%, which is in excess of 200 tons in this town. So how do you address that? I got in touch and talked with the Sanders? She's the Go Green lady at the middle school.
Oh,
We started to discuss,
that's,
Saunders.
yeah, Center's daughter.
that's where I knew her from. I knew her.
Sanders, Senator
Sanders,
Sanders'
yeah?
daughter.
Yeah.
Sanan.
Really?
Sanan.
Sanan,
Very, very nice woman, very easy to talk to, and she said, I'd like somebody to set off fireworks. Composting? And she said, well, where would we put it? I said, well, you know what? We have a regional agriculture center at our high school. And composting being what it is and the kind of activity it is, and the fact that there are federal grants and state grants to head in that direction, it might be a really good thing. I've already got the groundwork laid to talk to the director of the Hewitt Technical Center. I've got appointments to go to a couple different places to see large scale, probably larger than we'll need, composting. But this is maybe a doable thing, totally voluntary, but if you bring your stuff there, you get back compost at the end. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I do gardens and whatnot. Some of us compost at home. A lot of us don't have the place to do the composting. But if we had the schools districts around here, the Winnisquam Regional School District, the Tilton School Tilton School up the street, and the center, the Veterans Administration place up here generate tons of compostable material. which they have to pay by the pound to get rid of, and might covet the opportunity to become a part of community composting. So there's my short-term spiel. We're
How
not,
would community composting work? Would they
There's a
just
central place for them to bring it.
send
right.
a place to
With a
bring it? But we
composter.
couldn't, we'd have to pay to get rid of it, though.
no,
We wouldn't, it would just
not under the.
be like a snow storage.
No, what I'm thinking, they need material in order to compost. Where do they get it? They get it from schools, institutions, and residents. So, the way I envision it is two tubs side by side. This is kind of what looked like it would work for us, but just a dream, right?
Yeah.
And you get one going, and you do grass clipping. There's a grinder operation. All those stumps and whatnot down at Town Garage are now extremely valuable, because if you don't have carbon to put in with the compost, and you get too much nitrogen, it's fine for making methane, but not very good for compost. There's a whole chemical thing, science thing going on here. So, you put it in one, and it's things that turn it and aerate it, and the moisture, and it's like a big science thing. So now, once you've got one full, and it's doing its thing, it takes like 60, 90 days to get to be compost, you start to fill the other one. And so you fill the other one. And then while it's doing its thing, you're removing compost and distributing it to community gardens, to people who want compost that's contributed to the effort. It's good for the environment. It's good for residents. The cost is like relatively minimal. We could well divert enough MSW or tonnage in the first year, at the rate we've been having success, to pay for these things and get the compost.
Joe, do we have individual compost bins available for people?
We no longer do. We had a thing where we could buy some off a pallet, but then they were, this year, and maybe it'll change, but this year they would only sell them by the pallet. So we had two choices. We could lay out for 80 compost bins, and we didn't have that in our budget, or we can like band together with other towns and recyclers, and we've already put out feelers to purchase a pallet and then distribute them amongst ourselves, because the company we were getting them from was no longer performing that function. So not this year, but coming up.
The Belknap County Conservation District, when they have their sale, don't they sell those at the
You can
same
buy
time as
them.
well?
Well, there you go. It was unknown to me, but
Belknap County Conservation.
And you'll get the flyers
Forestry building.
in the spring, in the fall. We may want to contact them, that maybe we could jump on a part of their
that's
purchase.
outstanding. I was unaware of that. Now, what's the name of that, John?
Belknap County Conservation District.
It's the forestry building in Laconia, is where there's.
That's not at the forestry building anymore.
It
The
isn't?
forestry building moved to
Mountain Forest
Campton.
Building?
My daughter works there.
It's in the forestry building now. That's where we used to pick up all our
Is it?
The
plants.
forestry building is now the community services place,
Is that
right
where-
across from the train
the
station.
library?
Does that come
Yeah.
out of cooperative extension?
I'll check with I'll talk to Erica. She works at the
Right.
forestry building.
See if it comes out of the cooperative extension, out of
It might
UNH.
be up by the prison, too.
I think you might be on to something. I like that idea.
It's got legs, but is it going to work? I don't know. I've got to get educated more. And I'll keep you apprised as things come. Anybody who's interested is welcome when I get these fact-finding missions to industrial composting, or go talk with the extension people to come with me. Okay, so that's where that's at. There was, Catherine, there was supposed to be a wedding this Saturday
That's
at
canceled.
Island Park. You told me it was canceled, and I want to make absolutely positively that we're still on that.
No,
I don't want to leave anybody hanging. Okay, that's good. Packard Brook, did the stump get out of the brook?
Not yet. It was too wet today because it rained yesterday.
Yep.
He wanted to be careful. He didn't
Oh,
want
yeah.
to damage the neighbor's
The guy's
yard.
lawn and whatever, sure, okay. There is a town here in the state of New Hampshire that has a surveillance system inside their town hall. We have a surveillance system inside our town hall, and the difference being that apparently in that other scenario, they were recording conversations, not just inside the town hall, but in front of the town hall, allegedly. I won't name the name of the town because it's allegedly at this point, but that's a whole thing. I've been approached on this subject by other individuals who have heard that report, and although the town of Tilton has a camera video surveillance system within the town hall, there is absolutely no sound recording of any sort.
No, there's no audio.
There you go. There is no audio recording of any sort.
No.
Well, I want to disseminate that information to the most people I can at one time. I don't mind explaining it to them and why we installed it, but,
I'll talk to you after. I'm curious.
okay. When I went to the convention down there in Manchester, I saw the New Hampshire the Beautiful People. I don't know if you know this, but the New Hampshire the Beautiful People is like a plastics thing, and remember the old bottle bill we used to have? As a result of the removal of the bottle bill, what do you do with all these bottles and the plastic and all this stuff? They created New Hampshire the Beautiful, and it's a industry-wide cooperative effort to help keep the state clean and do their bit. They provide the signs for transfer stations, or don't litter, or keep our towns beautiful. They go up, they provide these things. They provide the blue bags that you see from time to time beside the road. I spoke with the individuals in charge of blue bags, and there are 2 cases of blue bags in Epsom, because that's where their offices are. They don't ship, but they're available at no charge to the town of Tilton, and next week I'm going to go down and get them. There is not a manner for distributing them yet, but we hope to have sometime later in the summer, early fall, a town-wide Let's Make Tilton Clean initiative where the bags will be distributed. Hey, take on your neighborhood. Take on right in front of your house. Go along, pick up the trash, put it in the blue bags. Mr. Allen and the...
I got to tell you something. There's a certain person's yard that I've been mowing regularly for the last couple years on School Street.
Same one, I'm going to help you with it.
No, different.
Okay.
Last week, 8 bottles within a 15-foot, 8 glass bottles. You know those twisted tea kind of bottles?
Alcohol, drinking and driving.
In the lawn.
Welcome to my world.
Oh, disgusting.
I
hope you recycled them. Absolutely disgusting. Yes, I did. Absolutely disgusting.
I can say the good thing about it is they didn't throw it in the woods.
Well,
Well, there's an upside. I got to tell you, I live right at the end of Silver Lake Road, and so people coming out of Belmont onto Silver Lake Road want to get rid of those alcohol bottles because those cops at Tilton don't play, or they're leaving Tilton to go into Belmont, and they want to get rid of their alcohol bottles because those cops in Belmont don't play. My yard is like a magnet for that stuff. I get on once a week, alcohol, McDonald's, Burger King, and those styrofoam containers suck because they never decompose, as far as I know. But be that as it may, we're headed in that direction. Look to the town website because there will be forthcoming some information on that. I spoke with Casella about the negotiation that we had gone through a couple of months ago and what have you. We talked about the transfer station and switching out containers that we have for a container, and I proposed a price for that new container that they were like, well, we're going to have to go back and talk about that. And so I don't have an answer, but that, I haven't forgotten about it.
Are they still holding to the price that they were?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they've got an offer on the table, and we can take it or not, but we're leaving money. We'll talk more about that when, and the very last thing on mine is, today there was a recycle can that didn't get picked up over in the Tree neighborhood, but it had all sorts of styrofoam in it. And somebody called me, and I told them, and I'll reiterate now, that styrofoam is not part of the single-stream effort. If you go on the internet, you'll see machines that recycle styrofoam. Unfortunately, those are basically West Coast and Japanese, and they're state-of-the-art and haven't made it to us yet, because, you know, we live in a warp here. It's always West Coast first, and it comes across. But currently, it's not available to us in the town of Tilton. To the best of my knowledge, Casella did not ticket the can. They didn't take it away, but they didn't ticket it either. So that's part of, I didn't get a chance to talk with them about that issue, but I will be, as far as ticketing cans they don't pick up, because to just not pick it up makes people think, well, maybe I got it out there late, or I don't know. They should understand why they didn't get picked up. That, biddy is all, folks.
All right. We released the bond, right? Request for proposals, that was for,
Talk about Dennis, we can do that next time.
okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. The request for proposals we'll put on for next week. Okay, well, the 26th, when we're all here.
Well, we can talk about it
Yep.
next week and try to come up with some kind of idea to present to the complete board.
Okay. Today, we met with the Winnipesaukee River Trail, the Conservation Commission. I thought Joyce was going to bring it up on her agenda. New Hampshire DOT, District 3, DOT, and we're over at Ernie's site
Was there, with the light people there?
with the light
Okay.
people.
The
And
light people.
the summary of, the summary of that is that we talked about in a guesstimate of where, that will be talked about at the Concom meeting on the 16th, but consensus, where the parking lot would end up being perpendicular to the road instead of this way. And then the trail going up alongside of that, not terminating in the parking lot, but alongside of it. And then the subject of the light came up. Bill was a little bit late, but then he came in on the conversation. So there was 3 options. The first option was the $100,000 hybrid light that we had talked about at the Tuesday's meeting. And the crosswalk, Quantum was there as well, representing the WRTA in their grant. And their engineer's best suited place for that was where the fire hydrant is almost in front of the Tilton PD sign,
But that's because that's where,
the line of sight. And
that's because that's where the ingress and egress to the original parking lot design was going to
Right.
be. So that's why he picked that spot.
Right. So now there are 3, the second option, and it came after much discussion,
No light?
that's an
much
option.
discussion, was that we don't have to have a crosswalk. Because we have a crosswalk down here with the island that's been over 20 years with the concerts and stuff, and we have Riverfront Park. But the theory behind that was that it would create an unsafe, if it was a crosswalk with no light, people would think that they have safety on their side and walk across, and they don't. They're not, if they don't have a crosswalk, they would think about it, look both ways, and then cross. So the options are the $100,000, there's a $20,000 blinking yellow solar light that's strung across, down, you push the button and it turns red, so it would stop the traffic.
No electric, though, but it's solar. Yeah.
It's solar, it's about $20,000, that's the second option. And the third option is not to have any crosswalk at all. So Quantum is going to relook at the engineering portion of that because now they got an idea where the trail's coming out. Bill Lambert's going to look into the criteria behind that, and also thought it would be in our favor because it's a temporary for the $20,000 one. But in essence, what it gave the Trail Association and Concom and us a little bit of hope that it could happen without spending oodles and oodles of money and mandated by the state that we should be paying this money when we don't really need to have it.
For something that is essentially temporary.
Which is essentially temporary, right.
So let me get this right, that one of the options that the DOT had on the table was no light?
Well, they did not have
That was
that on the
our
table.
option.
Well, what happened is, what generated the Hawk, the light,
Yeah.
the $100,000 light,
Was
was
the
the request for a crosswalk.
Right. And
New
that-
Hampshire DOT does not like crosswalks.
Right.
They give the pedestrian a false sense of security.
Right.
So they will not be authorizing any plain crosswalks without these,
Without the light.
without these
If
hawks.
we don't go with a crosswalk, we're good?
So I said, what if we don't go with the crosswalk? Let's not go with the crosswalk. And, we kind of looked at each other and said, well, that might be an option. So it is an option.
Outstanding.
So,
We're back, it was a big circle.
Well, okay, as long as, I think that the light is a ludicrous thing considering all the rest of the history along Route 3 and the DOT and their sidewalks and their lights.
I think there are some people,
Where it crosses.
I think that there are some,
Lots of people cross there.
Yeah.
yeah. I do believe that there are some, this is my take on it, personally, that there are some people in the Conservation Commission and that there are some people in the WRTA that would like to see the option of a crosswalk and the blinking $20,000 light just for the safety and liability reasons.
Well,
But
there is no liability.
I don't see a liability. If we don't put up a crosswalk or a light, and they crossing at their own risk, where's our liability?
That's already been tested.
Right,
We
there
had
isn't.
we had an individual that got hit.
But not the liability of somebody crossing the light with no, the other option is crossing with no crosswalk and no light. That's
There
where
you
the
go.
liability
No,
is.
there's no liability.
There's no liability for us.
No. There's no
And
liability.
quite frankly, even if that's a temporary terminus, there's a parking lot there. So anybody coming down the trail is supposed to be getting in a car and driving away. If they cross the street, they cross the street at their own risk.
Well, the bikers will cross the street because it's a trail.
They probably will.
Coming down
Liability for the town.
to the trail.
If somebody wants to cross a state highway.
No. I like it.
There's hope.
I think so.
So they're getting together, the 16th, we should have a lot more answers at the Concom meeting.
Outstanding.
Draft some
I'm gonna,
plans.
we're gonna post that as a selectmen's meeting as well, in case we need to make decisions. And are we all attending Concom's meeting?
I am.
You'll be there, right?
be there.
You'll be there. I'll be there.
Well, I'll be up the street and I'm gonna just follow everybody down here.
We'll just
so.
have a couple drinks and come to Concom.
Well, you know,
I love it.
I'll be drinking coffee,
I don't know if I'll be any shape. to make a
Drinks.
decision.
Did we cover everything on the list? Catherine, did we have anything? Next week, we're just having a meeting at 1 o'clock, and we're just going over a couple of things, that's it?
Did they release on the bond, right?
No appointments, unless we have tax people,
Right.
and then we'll schedule accordingly.
Did the,
Madam Go ahead, John.
What?
I'm all set.
Motion to adjourn.
Those in favor?
Vote with your feet, that's what I say. And you need it just that quick.